Good evening and welcome back to our loyal listeners. This is Pixels and Pints. This is Season 5, Episode 9. I could quickly read the run shirts while I make this up. Run shirts? Good English, Tom.
Run shirts.
Anyway, so it is a crisp Wednesday evening for all our fans out there. Tonight I'm joined by Pete.
Howdy.
And Dan.
Hey.
And you know what we're going to do? Same old shit. We're going to drink some beers. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Movies, games, TV shows, anything we can think of.
Anything
and that's
that
you
tickles our
sorted
fancy.
for the next 6 hours of your life. That's right. It's going to be a big one. It's not. I'm just leading you in.
It might be 6 hours if they back-to-back listening to the audio on Spotify and then go straight to the YouTube video, then I guess maybe
double
6
down.
hours. Speaking of which, if anyone's who's not subscribed but wants to watch the episodes, 1, fucking subscribe. 2, we're up to date again, so I think there's been 4
Well done,
new
Peter.
eps.
Round of applause for Peter. He does all the hard work behind the yards. Well done.
Does all the hard work. I literally just turn up. He was just giving me shit about sending him the show notes in our chat because I can't be asked putting it in the fucking document myself.
Yeah, and this
The only
week's show
reason
notes,
the only reason I don't is, in my defense, the link
your
is
lack
on
of IT skills.
Yeah, well, that too. But the link is on my home PC, and I don't log into it and very often, and I don't think of it until we're here doing it. So I've produced a visual feast in our run sheet. It's a multimedia experience. There's Excel tables. There's an image file that I wanted to discuss. See the Excel table.
Yeah, right at the bottom. And Dan's contribution is to send a message in WhatsApp with no context saying 4 show notes, Blood Red Sky, and Doom Eternal.
Oh, wow, there is an Excel table.
Oh yeah, there is too. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. This was your in-depth research that you were looking at. Okay, I'm looking forward to getting to that later on and breaking this down.
Well, I thought, we needed some information, so we are going to be covering all the normal stuff. So we've got news coming up. We've got a couple of trailers. There haven't been many trailers that I picked up this particular cycle. There's some. We'll do a mini review of, I'll do a mini review of Miss Marvel. I don't know if anyone else is watching it.
I've watched
and
the
Stranger
first
Things.
episode. I'm up to date on Stranger Things, and I'm 3 seasons into The Boys, and I'm shuddering every fucking episode.
Fucking love The Boys, man. I went back and rewatched the first 3 seasons.
Sometimes it's so fucked.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is fucked. Yeah.
But we're going our major topic for this podcast episode is going to be a directorial review of James Cameron. Just continuing from the last one we did, which we got actually quite a lot of positive feedback on. So
Fucking hell!
keep doing it.
Oh, okay. We'll cover this when we get to it. I just read something in that I did not know, so we'll cover that when we get to it.
Does it start with dark?
No.
Okay.
I knew that one.
Okay. Well, just a decent segue into first beers. I'm going to go first because I said the word dark, and I'm trying a dark sour for my first beer tonight.
Ooh.
And it's I don't want to say surprisingly good because it sounds like I'm taking a shot at the at Slow Lane Brewing, which I'm not. So this is Slow Lane Brewing's Monument, a barrel-aged black sour.
Is the alt beer you've got there alt beer as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm trying to work out who does a fucking alt beer, and then now you've said Slow Lane. It's definitely Slow Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So I'll be doing the alt beer next. I also noticed that Hop Nation are doing a 440ml or a 400ml can run of some old world styles. So they've got an old world Pilsner, which I've got.
Oh, the Rattenhund? The Rattenhund?
Yes, that's it. The Rattenhund. And they did a Doppelbock release at the same time. So I picked up both of those, but I will save those for the next podcast.
Yeah, all their new specialties are coming in the 440s. Good.
Yeah. So this particular beer was released May 2021. So it's not a new beer. I'm just reading on the back, but it's best before May 24. Malt, shit, it's got a lot of stuff in it. So Vienna Dark Wheat.
maybe don't say malt and shit, but yeah.
Vienna Dark Wheat Munich Rye Carafa Special. It's got some flaked wheat. Hops are Styrian Golding and Sars, and they've used a Belgian Saison and Brettanomyces yeast with Pediococcus as the souring agent. So, as a barrel-aged black sour, I wasn't really sure what to expect as to whether or not it was just going to be like a dark cherry-based sour that's been aged in bourbon barrels and given that complexity, but it's not. It's a proper black sour in that it is very malt forward. It's a dark sour. You definitely get some of that Saison farmhousey kind of twang to it. It's pleasantly sour, but you get a full-bodied malt backbone through it. So it's almost like drinking a light dark beer, if that makes sense, like a thinner dark beer with a bit of sourness to it. And very chocolatey, chocolate coffee on the nose, and quite a lot of Brett. So as a starter for the night, it's fucking fantastic.
Can you just read to me what you said that souring was?
The souring bacteria was Pediococcus.
How do you spell it?
Pediococcus.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
No worries.
Yep. Okay, no worries. That makes sense.
Monument started out as a dark farmhouse-style beer with a rye malt and flaked wheat. After a primary open fermentation with a Saison yeast strain, we put it into ex-wine barrels with Brettanomyces yeast and Pediococcus souring bacteria. It was aged for 9 months in the barrels, followed by a further 6 weeks can conditioning. Complex flavors of chocolate, licorice, and dark fruit with pleasant acidity and a dry finish. Yeah, nailed the brief. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Starting
Dan?
strong.
Me, it was just one of those Mecha single hop from Garage Project that I hadn't tried. It's the Centennial one. It's a lighter bodied one. Unfortunately, it's a tad oxidized, but only a little bit. The Centennial hop comes through fairly nice. There's some earthy characters to it, and it's just a really light bodied. Yeah.
What's the ABV? Sorry, mine was 7.6.
6%.
Ooh.
6. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got a lot of that earthy Centennial character to it. So don't take this isn't a negative. It's it's earthy kind of like dirt kind of aroma to it, but it's not in a bad way. It's a
mushrooms. Mushrooms are similar, and everyone loves mushrooms.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah, that's that type of earthiness to it, but it's got a light sort of fruit character to the backbone of it, but the light body of it really sort of helps with all that. So no, it's nice. I like it. Not as much as I like the other ones though.
Well, I'll tell you how the third one is on my second beer because I've got it sitting in the waiting rings.
Out of 5, Dan?
3.5.
Cool. Tomo.
Hello. Oh, beer.
Pete. I'm Pete. Yeah.
Yep, I know where I am. I'm at home. I am drinking
I'm at
also
Wednesday.
What? Fuck me. I'm drinking the Slow Lane Simplicity, their Helles German lager. And look, in the same way as with Dan's, dirt comment, when I say it is simple and it is beautiful, I mean that in like simple in a good way. It is unfiltered Helles. It's got a nice little slight haze to it. It has got slight little bit of like the spicy, old world hops to it, and it is just clean, crisp, and beautiful. Exactly what I needed after the week we've had. But yeah, it's not even over. It's Wednesday. How good. It is. It is really good. For someone who, like a brewery that obviously focuses on those kind of old world styles, they bloody well know how to do them well. And it really shows, especially in something as, as simple as just a classic German lager. It is delightful. Absolutely delightful. And I'm giving it 5 stars.
Well done.
It is probably one of the best lagers I've had in years.
Yeah,
I would love to get this on tap at the brewery. In fact, I might treat myself, as the youth say these days. Yeah, that is great.
Whippersnappers.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
In
cool.
fact, I wish I had one of those like the Tim Tam packet that just never stopped. Just keep filling back up. That'd be fantastic right now.
It'd be a short fucking episode. The never-ending glass of beer.
We could sing the songs.
It'd be sloshed pretty quickly.
Turn
No, we're not singing. Yes, that's back in my head after rewatching all of
the Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. Yeah, I watched season. No, we'll talk about it later. So do you want to get started with some news?
Read us some news, Peter.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Well, it doesn't have to just be me. These are just articles that I randomly read 10 minutes before
Told
the
you
show.
I don't do any work on this podcast. I just turn up.
I just come in and give my
You're
goddamn
the window
opinion.
dressing, Dan. You're what makes the show more appealing to the lasses listening, I'm sure.
I don't know about window dressing. I hope I deliver some technical support on the beer side of it from time to time, but that's about, I think, the extent of my...
We've all got to roll the play, Dan.
My useful fucking knowledge out there.
Actually,
Thank you very much.
Speaking of, could you explain the pedo in your coccyx yeast that's used?
You know how hard it was for me, because I knew anything I could possibly say was going to be completely inappropriate. But Tom, you just you grabbed that rock spider by the legs.
Dan, no, actually, Pete, when you go back and rewatch the footage when you're editing, you'll see the moment you say that, and my face just goes, I've got this.
It's a gram-positive strain of in the same family as lactobacillus. So it obviously gives the same lactic acid souring agent to the beer. I don't know biologically how it works compared to lacto, but I could do some more in-depth reading than I just have on Wikipedia. To find out where it came from, but it's within the same family as lactobacillus, which is why they've used it for souring. I'm very interested to see what kind of souring properties it has in comparison, just to see on what sort of spectrum of the sour it goes and what kind of extra flavor profile it throws there. So I think it'll be something I'll look into.
And for those of us who skipped,
that'll be something on the pilot batch.
Yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
One of each.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
And for those of us who skipped biochem, gram positive staining technique to test the thickness of cell walls.
Yeah, something like that. The gram positive absorbs, the gram negative doesn't.
Correct.
Something along that line.
So gram positive.
Why did you fucking ask me if you knew then?
Oh no, it was a statement. It wasn't a question. It was, we get complaints that we say technical shit about beer and then don't explain it, and then you drop something like it's a gram positive. Like no one who didn't do.
This is actually be perfect where we could have my dad on speed dial because he's a chemist. So I'd be like, Dad.
So we just finished watching Breaking Bad. Dad, explain this. Anyway, moving on.
I have to look up fucking gram positive now to see what. Anyway,
it stains purple. Gram negative stains pink.
Oh, okay.
It's businessmen at 2 a.m. on a Friday.
I knew it had something
morning.
to do with
gram positive
identification of
Yeah, well-to-do lawyers in a pub at 2 o'clock. Yeah, you're right, Tom.
Yeah.
That's definitely gram positive.
Yeah.
So news. So I read an article from one of the lead developers of Gotham Knights, saying that the implementation of Gotham City that they've built into their game is the largest map of Gotham City in any video game ever, and that he finds it very soothing and relaxing. And it was a good callback to last episode, actually. He just, while he's on Zoom meetings doing work stuff, he sits on the back cycle on the prototype version of the game and just cycles through Gotham City, and he said he finds it terribly relaxing. And it was just reminded me.
He's got his little legs going on the fucking
cycle.
chain sprocket on there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Robin's
cycling.
Robin's bat push bike.
Through, but anyway,
Damian
Wayne's fucking electric scooter.
Robin with his little Robin Batarang training wheels.
Spooky Dokies on all this on the.
No, you just need you need the football card with the peg to get the motorbike sound.
Yeah. Is that not the opposite of what you want from a Gotham City? Peaceful and relaxing?
Oh no, but it's a prototype. They have
tents and
they
crime
have said
filled?
that.
No. Imagine it's just the world. Yeah.
The same article does go on to say that they are focusing a lot on populating the world. That there's always shit going on in the background. They're focusing on density and verticality. So it really sung out that they're making sure that they don't make any of the really bad fuck ups that they did with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at their gameplay, they got a bit to go on making it interesting, because what they took to market the other few months ago was not that interesting. So looked like there was some fun elements, and like being on the bike. I think Red Hood took down a van on the bike. That looked fun. But the waiting around for the fucking timer to tick down on the whatever him and Nightwing were doing on the roof, that would get fucking tedious real quick.
Some of the gameplay footage I've seen, just I don't know why it reminds me of Division, but it just reminded me of Division with DC characters in it.
It definitely had that. It was a bit more fluid in the obviously in the fight style.
But you're just walking around the city, and then you and your mates just approach an instance zone that you can start kind of a dungeon crawl in an urban setting. That's what it smelled like. I mean,
I did like though that they came out. The developers of that game came out and very strongly were like, we have nothing to do with that fucking CW series either. Like, they were like, this is completely separate. If you loop us in with that,
I believe
we will run you over with this.
I made
tricycle.
a somewhat similar point in the last episode about
Yeah, they came out recently.
Yeah, like nothing. It's
not
just
us. Okay,
what is this CW Gotham series called?
Gotham Knights.
Oh shit!
Gotham
is it?
Knights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I think
okay.
I called it Pansy Ass because all the CW series are kind of like Degrassi Junior High set in the DC universe. Oh my god, did you sleep with him?
yeah.
I slept with his sister, and then it turns out that his sister wasn't really his sister, it was his ex-roommate's dog's previous owner's dad.
What the hell? What the fuck is this shit?
I'm just feeling dead air.
Peter, I think we watched different CW series.
Well, how much drama
scene.
was there in Supergirl?
That sounds like something out of the fucking boys.
How much drama was there in Supergirl though? Like the long lost father and the estranged family
Couldn't tell
and
you.
Carol Danvers and
Never watched.
Well,
an
we
episode.
made Dan watch a whole season. So
I rember that
Of what?
Supergirl.
Oh yeah, I didn't end up watching. Oh god, there was points where I was just sitting there on like double or triple speed, and just to try and get through it. Who the fuck are these?
I would have turned it into a drinking game
it
personally.
kind of was. It was one of those, I challenged thee to watch a season of blah that you said that you would never watch. And it was mainly just to see Dan's PTSD tick in recurring episodes. Anyway, so we're not going to wait for Dan to do whatever Dan's doing.
No, we'll keep.
It's called
keep
Gotham
plugging through.
Knights, and who the fuck are these characters? Like, they've got like the Z list of fucking people, not actors. I don't know the actors. I'm not harping on about the actors here. Just their who the fuck
Harper
is
Row.
Turner Haynes? Bruce Wayne's adopted son. Who the fuck is Turner Haynes? I've never even heard of these fucking characters.
Harper Row. Anyway, so while Dan,
I'm going to move along. Yeah, good old Aspyr, our friends who remake a lot of Star Wars games,
kind of fucked up.
Talking about, I saw this the other day. Yeah, yep, it's hard. They've ported Coda to the Switch, and yes, they did report that there is a bug which will make the game unfinishable.
It's kind of just a small problem,
which is, you hopefully you find that before release and be able to fix it. I did see a thing today, a Coda's mug, and it was something like 100 bugs on the wall, take one down, pass it around, 187 bugs on the wall. So I was
sounds about right.
I'm sure it's one of those things. They've tried to implement something and it's just cascaded.
Regression
bugs
are a bitch.
Did they say? I didn't. I saw the article headline and I briefly skimmed it, but I don't remember saying if they were actually going to halt release or not. Because they were pretty far into it.
I don't know. I was under the impression it had already been released. Clearly not.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I haven't seen it. I was going to pick it up though when it was coming out though on the Switch.
Knights of the Old Republic. That's actually where I started with the KOTOR games. I didn't start with 1. I started with 2. I know that makes logical sense.
I haven't played either.
2 was great. I loved 2. And I had no idea about what the story was because I never played 1, and it was probably I think I played it on release because I remember buying a physical copy, and so there was no internet telling us about that back then. What the first game storyline was. I had no idea what the fuck was going on halfway through this game. And it was fucking great. And I ended up choosing the right path to go along. I guess it's going to be re-released. Oh, we've lost the Peter.
Oh no, the boss is gone.
And he's back. He's back.
Oh no, the boss is back.
Didn't cut out for you guys though, did it?
No.
No,
you disappeared.
That was my fuck up.
Yeah.
I completely lost my train of thought there. So
sorry, Dan.
You've also moved your position. This is really disconcerting.
So
yeah. It's like shuffling a deck of cards.
I was trying to find out if KOTOR had been released in another browser window and hit the back button on my mouse, and evidently I had changed focus to the recording window, and so I pressed back on the recording app, and that's what booted me out. I apologize. And like true professionals, you guys just carried on like nothing happened, right?
Oh, of course. And it's like if nothing, we're true professionals, Peter. Yeah. Always.
I'm still in shock. I'm on the phone to my mother. I'm like, where the fuck is Peter gone?
Calling
Bring him
Finland
back.
For tech support.
He makes this work, Mum.
So, KOTOR 2, I'm pretty sure it's already out. For Switch. Right. It looks like it. They're already doing reviews.
That's gonna be a big fucking patch.
Yeah.
Better hope they find it.
So wait a minute. I was completely not listening because I was completely dumbfounded with that fucking cast from the Gotham Knights TV show, which is not going to make it past season 1. So please remind the idiots in the room what the game-breaking bug is.
Oh, just that you can't finish Knights of the Old Republic 2 on Switch.
It's like the main quest. Something happens in the main quest.
The main story is broken.
Yeah, like towards the end as well. So it's like a key scene, like it's
30 hours in.
Kind of like what you guys talked about, so, like with Cyberpunk, where it was like you go talk to the dude to finish the quest, and he'd just be like, "No,
yeah,
no, Peter not here, no,
you'll clean it."
Right, so both Chris Evans, these are separate articles, Chris Evans and Millie Bobbie Brown. So we all know who Chris Evans is. Millie's the main character from Stranger Things. If you're not watching that show, you should be. Particularly if you were born in the 80s and grew up with all the same shit that you'd be listening to us about. They have both flagged that they want to be or are already in early talks about appearing in some sort of Star Wars intellectual property. So Chris Evans has said very publicly that he wants to be in a Star Wars movie or TV show, and apparently Millie Bobbie Brown's already in discussions. So...
I mean, if I was an actor and I hadn't been in a Marvel or a DC or a Star Wars show, I'd be that kind of
on Twitter
around being like,
I'll just on Twitter constantly.
I'll do it. Yeah. I'll do it right now.
Hey, look, I've read 6,000 back
what happened.
Issues of comics, and
that's what happened with what's his name, Simu Liu, played Shang-Chi. He just kept going like, fuck.
So many characters in the MCU are there because they wanted to be there. I mean,
I think it's great. I think they should. If they love the character and they can do it well.
Those two aren't necessarily the same thing. So apparently Dwayne Johnson hassled everyone to let him play Black Adam, and now he's just playing Dwayne Johnson in a movie called Black Adam. So, you don't always get what you want. Lea Seydoux, I don't know if you know who that is, Tom. She was the actress that was in No Time to Die. She was... Yeah, she was the love interest.
The blonde.
Yes,
the blonde French one.
French actress.
French.
Yes.
She
is French.
She's not French.
What else was Crimes of the Future?
Some sort of European.
I
thought that we already have one.
Now go away! I shall taunt you a second time. So she's joining the cast of Dune Part 2, can't call it Dune 2. Dune Part 2. And she's playing a character called Lady Margot Fenring, who Dan is going to illuminate us on because he's the only one that's read the book.
So she's the wife, the Bene Gesserit wife of a mentat that's sent to the Baron Harkonnen after the Atreides take over Arrakis again, and she has a little fling with the Baron Harkonnen's nephew who's fighting in the gladiator pits and that. But as I said to Pete beforehand, she's in the book for all of 4 pages. She has a very big influence on the Count, because she's of the Bene Gesserit sisterhood. But the Count is there to manipulate the Baron into doing what the Emperor wants him to do with taking back control of Arrakis and how it should be run, and putting down the Fremen and treating them harshly, and then they kind of come up with him and the Baron kind of come up with an extra little bit of a scheme there to go against the Emperor as well. So there's a lot of backwards and forwards between the Baron and the Count, and the Lady Margot Fenring. She works with her husband and influences things as well as the Bene Gesserit do. But I mean, I guess she's a major character within the conspiracy plot lines of what's happening in the background, but not there's so much they didn't touch on in the first Dune movie that happened before they got to the point where they ended the movie, and to bring this character in feels to me like a bit of a side story that I'm not sure they're going to have enough time to flesh out. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if looking at the cast, I would just say it's one of those films. It's like when big names want to be like, I just want to appear in the next big Avengers film or something. It's just like, I just want to be there just to be like, I was part of it. It adds not to say they're not going to do a good job of they're going to phone it in or anything, but it does add a pretty big gold star to your resume to be like, I ended up in Dune Part 2. Even if you're only in there for a couple of scenes, and I'm sure knowing this actress, she will nail it because she's fantastic. In No Time to Die, she's fantastic. So I think it's just that. It's like you've already got
she's awesome,
large and talented cast. You can only add so many more talented people in with being like, well, you're not going to get as much.
She's also starring in Crimes of the Future with is it Kristen Stewart? What was the other female lead in Crimes of the Future? Do you recall? We all watched the trailer in the last episode, right? It is Kristen Stewart and Viggo Mortensen. So she's playing alongside some big fucking...
Oh, that's the body horror one?
But, okay, it might be an indie film, like a Sundance Festival style film, but those are some big actors to be playing up against, right?
They're also gold stars on your actor resume.
I completely understand why, and I agree with your point there to be part of Dune. I just I wonder, I just do wonder how much of this
they have to be expanding the role.
Well, it's just they touch so little on the Baron.
Well, I guess do they have to be expanding the role if it is that smaller part when you've got such a coming back to that, it's such a talented and big cast in terms of name power. You can just have people pop in and go I'm here.
It would be really interesting actually if they took the second part of Dune and made it less Paul Atreides focused and made it more external universe focused. It would be an interesting take, I think. And I mean that's the way the book goes. I mean the book follows Paul as the main character, but I mean there's so much happening for chapters and chapters in the background. And I guess when you get to the second part of the movie, Paul is probably a little less interesting than what he is in his development point in the first half of the book. There's some big jumping points in the time jump in the book.
But he's only really a part of the first 2 or 3 novels, isn't he? As the primary end. Yeah, so he's the primary protagonist for the first couple to launch the story, but then it's about the rest of the universe, not about Paul.
Yeah, well, it's about his
And the
children
houses
after that. It's about Leto after that mainly. But yeah, it's but even I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting, and if they are casting those characters, good on them, because I think they will knock it out of the park with part 2.
Well, the one thing you have to say about the first Dune movie is there really weren't any.
Don't say the original.
No, sorry, the first Dune movie that we saw last year. There weren't really any small parts. He put big name actors in for a lot of supporting cast, whether they had a major role to play or not. So, if he's going to continue in that theme, then I can only make a better film.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
I don't actually. So my next bit of news, I don't think is accurate. There's a lot of talk at the moment about the Thunderbolts potential movie, but I don't think it's actually been formally announced.
I mean, how they have to do Thunderbolts? They've already brought in a bunch.
And that was kind of the topic, right? Who do you think will be in it? Because there's been a lot of setup, but it depends. Yeah, you're going to rattle off
Winter Soldier. No, well, not Winter Soldier.
US agent.
Captain America. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. US agent. Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo's always been the leader of the Thunderbolts.
You're not going to get William Hurt as
like a songbird.
The man, because he would have Thunderbolt Ross would have been the obvious.
Oh, we can recast. It's fine.
I don't think they will.
Oh, they probably won't. They'll just drop the Red Hulk character. That's fine. Red Hulk was a fun arc, but I never really got behind.
It's going to.
I mean, it was fun to be like the monster you were trying to kill the whole time.
What's going to be interesting is whether or not they've already filmed or not.
And then Yelena will be in it.
And you've got Valentina Allegra de Fontaine from...
Is the Nick Fury?
It's going to be interesting to see if William Hurt ended up as Red Hulk in the She-Hulk series, because if they've already filmed enough of it, then he might still end up being Red Hulk in the She-Hulk series.
Would depend. I imagine that'd come down to whether or not his family would want him doing anything.
You've also got Taskmaster. You've got
Post-
Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Abomination, but it's almost just a shopping list of dead-end villains, right?
Well, and that's there you are. Well, that was always the thing. It was like
Suicide Squad
were
of
the
Marvel.
anti-Avengers. But no, there was always a fun book to read. But especially now that we've got a decent take on Baron Zemo, thanks to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and an unhinged US agent, and then you've got a revenge-fueled Black Widow. Like, that's already half a team there. And hey, maybe they'll go completely from left field and no one will see it coming, and they'll put in a Dainton, son of Wolverine, to recast that character.
Yeah,
it would be fucking
sick.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Now,
Wolverine Assassin's Creed with his little arm blades underneath. Yeah.
The guys gave me sufficient shit before the show for including this, but I think it's a piece of news for pop culture. So they've released a Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes teaser trailer that shows absolutely nothing. Very similar to the teaser they did for the Witcher series, what's it called, Blood Origin, where the teaser trailer is a CGI, fucking medallion coming through the snow. Very similar with the Hunger Games teaser trailer. It's literally just the iconography from the cover of the movie.
Getting your TV shows and your games mixed up here, Pete.
It was Witcher
the medallion
4.
coming through
Sorry,
the
you're
snow
right.
was the Witcher 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just trying to make the fans hungry for the games?
Dude. You gave me shit for including something that is undisputably pop culture, and then you drop a dad joke like that. I don't think you have any right to give me shit.
I can't help
He's
myself.
tired.
It's a problem. No,
Give
it's
yourself
not
an
even
uppercut.
that. It's not even that. I can't help myself, and if I'm freshly awake. I wake up first thing in the morning and
Those
just
dad
make those.
jokes.
My dad's going to listen to this and just do the full Palpatine. Hi, Dad, love you.
The movie The Flash really seems to be in a bit of jeopardy at the moment. After Ezra can't
Miller's on a
stop
fucking
doing
walk-up.
creepy ass shit to minors. I don't know if
come on. What's he doing?
And just assaulting people too.
Yeah, he was assaulting. He had a couple of restraining orders slapped on him from a 14-year-old non-binary kid. Apparently, he rocked up at the parents' house and said that their child was special and needed to be mentored by somebody like him, who also
Oh, good God.
that was part of
No, thank you.
a Native American community that he's a part of. So yeah, some really creepy ass shit. There's a couple of restraining orders, and he's currently
It's like 4 or 5 states.
and he's
got
currently on the
misdemeanors in
lam.
now,
No one can contact him because he's currently off the grid, hiding from law enforcement. So I can't see how how DC or Warner Brothers can continue without CGIing him out and putting another actor in. And there's already articles about how they would do that. So clearly they're considering it. It's like,
And the problem is,
Well, yeah,
if
man.
they don't release something that's got Michael Keaton as Batman again, there's gonna
gonna
be
be
a
a fucking
fucking
uproar.
Snyder Cut fucking revolution here again.
It's
And DC
not-
does not want that shit going to happen again.
it's not just Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
it's Ben Affleck as Batman as well. So
Oh yeah, I can't imagine he's in it for much, but yeah,
but he is in it, and he appeared in it after stating he would never reprise the role. So it has gravity in the sense.
He's in it long enough to fire the bat claw through someone's neck to just snap them down, and that's all I need to see.
So yes, the moral of the story: don't touch kids, and you might be able to retain
I
a.
think that should be the moral of every
Yeah,
story.
I've got to agree with Tom on that one.
Just actually the unspoken moral
It
of
should
any
go without
story,
saying,
just-
but it's not like you can. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like
should
you
go
can hide the
without
fact, or just delay the release like they did with a couple of other actors who got themselves into trouble with law enforcement. They conveniently used COVID to delay the release of what was the movie. It was Army Hammer got himself into a bit of trouble, and they delayed a movie by over 12 months just to give themselves a bit of distance from the bad publicity he was getting.
wasn't he
Yes,
trying to eat
there was the
people?
cannibalism charge against
what
him.
the fuck is wrong with these people? No,
Yeah,
Power
that's
goes
it.
to their head.
I don't know. I mean, look, don't ask me to try and relate to Ezra's situation because I don't get it.
it's
But you can't hide from what he's doing, right? He's the titular character from the movie The Flash. He's the Flash in The Flash. They're going to have to cut him. There's no way they can get away with it.
It's convenient then that he's on the run.
Thanks for joining us, guys. That was episode 9.
mic drop. We're out.
I'm hilarious. I should
Crack
have my
me
own
up.
podcast.
Have you guys seen any of the set photos from Mad Max Fury Road's prequel? I didn't even know they were doing one.
Yeah, Furiosa.
Yeah, the Furiosa one. Yeah,
It's looking
That's
fucking
what I read
good.
this on there, and I'm like, Mad Max Fury Road prequel. Okay, couldn't you have just put Furiosa?
I didn't know they were doing a prequel. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, it's been
We
filming.
haven't
It's
talked about
filming
it
in
on the
fucking
podcast.
Broken
That
Hill,
one slipped
man.
past him.
Broken Hill, original Mad Max territory.
Yeah,
road trip. We're doing a road trip. Thanks for some pints.
just
Road
hire a
trip.
really old, beat up Ford Pinto or something.
No, even better, Pete. We take your Merc tank and we Mad Max it.
Yes, yeah. First, we're going to tape some
I can do that.
mattresses to it,
Give me,
and then the armor.
give me a week, a week and a box of screws, and I'll
And some
fucking Mad
spot
Max
welder.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I think not.
Come on,
And
live
the
a
last
little.
bit of
Okay, fine. We,
I just
we can
don't
use
think
my
they'll-
Fiesta.
I don't
Won't
think
have
they'll
the same
give me back
effect, but,
the. I don't think they'll accept the keys at the end of the lease if we start drilling it. The last bit of news was a really interesting article I read around the Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings TV series.
They released
So
some
we
orc
discussed
pictures.
some
Yes.
concern about that had been expressed in media about the faithfulness of the outfits. Because there were a couple of visible scenes and modern fabrics in some of the behind-the-scenes footage that was released about a year ago. And we actually did discuss it on one of the podcast topics that, we hope they're not going to cheap out on stuff like costume and set design because they did such an amazing job in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Well, I think my main concern was they were going to CGI a bunch of the races. Like they
So-
were going to hop with it.
So
Don't hop
they
with it.
very clearly are not. So in this article,
No.
they've released a shot of the new orcs who look very different from the orcs from the Lord of the Rings. And then there was a interview with the prosthetics director and Lindsay Weber, one of the executive producers. And I put a quote down from her because I thought that was quite telling in terms of their thought process and how much detail they're going to. So the quote was, "We spent quite a lot of time talking about what it would mean to be an orc in the Second Age. It felt appropriate that their look would be different, part of a wilder, more raw Second Age Middle-earth, closer to where the First Age ends. As we meet them, they're not yet organised into armies. They're a little more scattered and they've been scavenging. So it's just a different time in their total story." So to go through kind of the process of like understanding them as a race and how they've evolved, and then reflecting that in the prosthetics is cool. And then they went on, the rest of the article talks a lot about the latest technology in physical props and prosthetics. So I don't know if you remember, Dan, but we went to Supernova, must be like 8 or 9 years ago. And we got to play, and got to play with the dwarven noses, the actual prosthetics from the movie at the Wetter stand. And so they were saying back then they were using foam latex, which were physical props, but they didn't move, and you have to kind of glue them onto the face and paint them and try and blend it. They're now using new techniques with silicon, so they're using pelletized silicon. So it's kind of a silicon skin on the outside, silicon skin on the inside, and then there's a hardened silicon piece sandwiched in between, and allows the prosthetic to physically move. So it acts like cartilage in the nose. And because it's silicon, it's semi-transparent like skin. So now they're using makeup instead of painting them. So they're very focused on physical effects, which I think is awesome. They said that they're still doing a lot of CGI, but it'll be balanced. It's not going to be a CGI movie. And they didn't quite call out The Hobbit, but I got a distinct impression they were calling out The Hobbit. And that's it for my news.
Yeah, if anyone wants to look at them, IGN had 6 or 7 different shots of the orcs in different locales as well, and they looked great.
And I'll put up
amazing.
I'll put up one of the pics for the video episode too.
Yeah, I mean, this one photo you've got here is a nighttime shot and a lead orc right in front. Looks like he's got, and it's interesting. Like she said, they're scavenging, and like he's just got some kind of creature skull as a helmet.
As a helmet, yeah.
A bit of raggedy chainmail slung over his, like it's obviously
alligator skin?
Well, yeah, like something like creature skin under it. Probably the skin of the lizard
it'd be the
that he's wearing the skull
animal.
of. Yeah.
It'd be the same animal. It'd be like one of the wild creatures in Mordor. They've got some like
it looks good. It does look like a fucking they've been living in derelict caves and that, and grabbing whatever they can off the battlefield. Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, no, it's giving me a little bit more
exactly
hope.
Why
it's giving me a little bit of hope. But I'm only going to take slivers. I'm
not getting too excited.
No, I have been burnt severely before, and seeing as, I do have the Tree of Gondor literally burnt into my skin, I will take each one. But I'm still going to watch it. It's great to see the Second Age. Yeah. What a great time. Take me back, I say.
Do you guys have any other news? I need to run and grab my second beer.
I've almost finished my second beer.
Jesus. Okay, well...
No, I didn't really have anything.
The only thing I want to touch on maybe in the news section is I'm super excited about. We had Summer Games Fest last week, and we got a pretty good lengthy gameplay review, gameplay showing of the Callisto Protocol, which is the... Yes,
I thought you'd
very much like that. It is the new... Well, it's... Dead Space. It's fucking Dead Space, made by the original Dead Space people. The ones not doing the Dead Space remaster. This is the other part of that original Dead Space team, and it looks fucking awesome. It is just Dead Space, and they're not hiding the fact that it is. They've got so much of the same elements to it. It just looks like a next gen, a whole bunch of cosmic space horror fun. It's just there's the push and pull elements of the kinetic weapons. It's dismembering the bad guys.
I never played Dead Space, so maybe I need to go play that before this comes out.
Well, they got a remake.
Yeah. So they're going to release within months of each other. So Callisto Protocol is coming out in like December or something, and Dead Space remake is coming out like January. so they're like months apart.
Yeah,
And
okay.
the biggest thing that I still remember, and this was the first time that I think I saw it 100% done within game, is Dead Space has no HUD elements. Everything that is
Yeah, you've
part
mentioned this.
of the environment that you need to go is physically represented in the environment, whether it's on Isaac's suit. So the spinal column is his health meter. As it ticks down, it goes from green to yellow to red, and it's a seamless transition. You see the upgrades on his suit. Every time he goes in and gets an upgrade, he gets more pockets added, which gives him more fucking ammo storage and everything like that. Brings up his inventory. It comes up in front of the character as a holographic screen. You go to look on, you do your mini map or your quest marker. He holds his hands out and it pings to the ground. And there's a little holographic ping along the ground in the way you've got to go.
Yeah, right.
It's just everything is represented there. There's no external element to
Just
to
paste
that
it onto
game.
the screen. Yeah.
Just paste it onto
Yeah,
the
that's
screen.
cool.
And I think why that stands out to me, and I know I've bitched about this before, is that was done so many years ago, wonderfully, brilliantly done in Dead Space, like amazingly done, seamlessly done in Dead Space, and we got what we got with Cyberpunk. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go grab my second beer. Dan, do you want to talk about yours while I do that? And Tom, in between.
Well, I've got one bit of news, but you already know about it,
Okay,
Peter. So
all right.
you can go because
Cool.
we talked about it last episode. I just thought this will drop a little bit later than our fans will be ready for, or it'll already be live. But it is Wednesday the 22nd. Tomorrow is Thursday the 23rd of June, and the new PS Plus levels drop tomorrow. So if you were thinking of upgrading, everyone who already has a live subscription will jump to the Essentials, which is the exact same of what you've currently got. But if you do want to upgrade, you can from tomorrow. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go, balls into the wall. I'm going to go for the top one in the hope that one day I get to play some streamed old PS3 games that eventually will get them. But yeah, that drops from the 23rd.
Plus.
So you
what
can
you're
upgrade
talking
at
about?
any time. Yeah.
I think
just
one
like
thing
that,
that needs to be called
just
out
that it is live.
in news too, Tom, is your fucking effort on the Sackboy Platinum, because that was.
I was going to talk about that in Are You Winning, Son?
We'll leave it for that, because I watched that clip that you put up and I'm like, fuck me, there is no way I would have spent more than 10 minutes on that fucking level. No way. Not 113 times or whatever you said you did it. Not a chance.
It was my own personal 7 circles of hell.
Okay.
And it's like, 5,000 other people have done that, which is, out of a potentially
Millions.
at least on pstrophies.org, 36,000 people that own the game who sign up to that website, which is nothing compared to actually how many people actually own the game. So, yep, that was a trial, and my eyes really hurt after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll cover that. We'll cover that down in the in Are You Winning, Son? And I think
We
that's
will.
where
Let's talk beers.
my Doom Eternal needs to go to.
Okay.
Peter.
Yes, boss.
PA. Thank you.
Yes, Chief. Well, I'm going to jump straight in first, even though Dan's basically finished his beer. Purely because I'm drinking the sequel to the beer he just drank. I have the Mecha-Hop Singularity Mosaic, which is the latest release. It has a cool Transformers-esque pterodactyl on there, firing all the lasers. Firing my lasers.
It's important to fire.
So this is the next
You
Hazy
don't
Pale.
want to let them build up too much, mate. You end up
100%.
with blue lasers.
No. All weapons. Flash. Yeah, so this is...
Sorry. You're playing to the wrong crowd if
What
you
are
wanted
they?
silence then, mate.
No, I did not. I just wanted to hear it. Yeah, so this is the same thing they've done all the time. It's put every kind of different version of Mosaic.
I probably
hop
should have
you can,
mentioned that when
Oh,
I
and then
wow.
it pours a lovely... Yeah.
Juicy.
It's looks quite thick and juicy. It's quite pleasant, actually. It's quite light. It's still definitely got a nice hit of juice. But yeah, it's got those classic Mosaic kind of characteristics. It's very nice. It's very pleasant. It's 6%, Peter.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. Yeah, it's probably. I think Mosaic works in most of those single hop variety beers. It's same with like Citra. It's one of those. Centennial, I think, is a bit more not dated in terms of like old world, but like a lot of things were Centennial from my memory, like 5 years, 6 years ago.
It's also Centennial's a
especially
risky
in
hop to
Australia
do as well, just because of the characteristics it does throw. Like it's those earthy characteristics. And we did a single hop. I was super happy with our single hop series because we outdid. We did the same hops in a different order to what Garage Project was, and I just like to put it down to fucking
now they're
great
copying
minds
you.
think
Yeah.
alike. I will go with that, and I will preach that until the day I die, even though I'm not even in the same fucking ballpark as Garage Project. But so we all, and we obviously were thinking along the same lines, and it's really good to know that like we can put a spotlight on those hops. And Centennial you're right, it is an older hop that plays a background character to the bigger hops, the more popular ones, the Citras and the Mosaics and the Simcoes. But it is a great hop, and it does throw a whole lot of different characteristics. Mosaic is a fantastic hop too, but it's much easier to make a single hop Mosaic beer stand out than a Centennial hop one.
Yeah. I think it's something that this is something I've said to a lot of the breweries I've worked with from the pub side, and now working especially with the batch guys. I think every brewery should do a single hop series and just see what you can do. Like it is test of skill. I think just go for it.
You don't have a lot to mask it, right?
And yeah, you can't. You go, oh shit, there's not enough. Oh fuck, chuck some more Citra in that.
And that was
one of my favorite beer labels was, I think it was the Daze one, which was the cheat code, and they just talked about how much Citra they use because it's like the affectionate, and especially in a hazy beer, it's the kind of the cheat code to get you through. But yeah, I think I love a single hop series. As any brewery that does one, I jump on them when I can, when I see them. I love them. I think it's like, I was talking with a chef today about like, she said that when she goes to a restaurant, she always tries the garden salad because it's really hard to mask anything in that. And if you don't put care and love into that, are you really going to be putting care and love into the, $600
It says something
name
about
that you're
the
serving
integrity
in a
of the
high-end
head
restaurant?
chef.
Yeah. It's just like, that's with me with a single hop, with something you can't really hide behind, or like a burger shop. I always get just the plain burger. Can't if you're not putting care and love into that, then why am I going to spend the money on your higher end thing? Yeah, but yes, I recommend this beer. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. It's no simple German Hell's Lager, but it is an excellent example of the Mosaic hop. And they've got the double out as well. They just released it in Australia as well, which was the Gabs beer.
I've noticed the Gabs pack is still floating around, so I intend to pick one up from Dan's at some point.
not me.
Not. Are you the Dan from Dan? God, I heard that story so many times. If one more fuck asks me if my name's Dan Murphy, I'm going to deck them.
Yeah, I changed my name tag back to Daniel. Like that's how much it fucking annoyed me.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the other.
The double version of that was, I don't think it's in the Gabs pack, but yeah, I know a guy.
The other thing with single hop beers too is the answer isn't always just put more hops in it. Like the answer to some of these things is
picking the right yeast.
Yeasts, but I'm just talking more about just the hop side
hops.
of it. It's where you make the additions on the hot side on the brew house and how much you add there to add a backbone hop character to what you're going to dry hop later on. What time you put the dry hop in, how much dry hop you put in. I mean, Mosaic is one of those ones that you can overdo to an extent. Citra is, like Tom said, it's the cheat code. You can fucking throw as much Citra as you want, and it's never going to be too much or too little. It's always going to be pleasant to an extent. Centennial, you can.
And then you got your mate Sabro. I had a Sabro beer last night that was just and
that's definitely a fantastic example. I mean, and another I'm not going to put Sabro in the same category as Nelson, but Nelson is one of those hops that you can easily overdo. And if you're doing a single hop Nelson, I mean, you've got to be careful how much Nelson you put in, because you can get into that real fucking cat pissy territory, and it's just unpleasant. And even fucking Simcoe, man, I love Simcoe, and I'm about to do a single hop Simcoe American Pale as well. And it's a balancing act, because it can get too much as well, even though it's an amazing hop. And it's one of those ones that blends amazingly well in West Coast IPAs and American Pales, but on its own, it can be a balancing act, and it's just too little. Yeah, okay, it's good. The right amount, fucking fantastic. Too much, and you're going, that's too dank, or it's chewy, or it is a balancing act. So, Pete, you're on mute.
Sorry, thank you. Is someone trying to park on your front lawn, Dan? Because there's this like bright light coming from your window all of us. Unless you're
I think one of his lights just kicked in.
No, it's the backyard. It's Louise has just let the girls
the
out.
dogs out for a wee. Yeah.
When I say girls, yes, dogs, not children.
I just thought that
I don't have children that wee in the backyard.
We've covered that.
I just thought Batman had just like turned on his lightsaber for a second. I was like, ooh,
no,
that's a fun poster.
Dan, what was your second beer, mate, that you've finished?
It is Hazy Daze from Garage Project. I can't remember. When did you guys have this a couple of weeks ago?
I might have. I've had that one.
So this is the Mosaic, Strata, and Idaho 7. Sorry, it's not focusing.
That's fine.
It is a 5.8%. It's talking about balance. Very well balanced between those three hops. The Mosaic is there, and Mosaic can dominate. I never really used Idaho 7. To me, it's more of a supporting hop. I know there has been a couple of single hop Idaho 7s out there, and I know very, very little about Strata, so I probably should do my research on these. But it's blended beautifully well that all of those hop combinations, all of those hop characters work really well together. There's a little bit of grassiness to it, a little bit of dankness to it, a lot of tropical fruit character to it through the whole thing. It's, like I said, it is almost done, but the room smells like hops, and just from my glass sitting there.
So it was Hazy Days. What were the three hops? Sorry?
Mosaic, Strata, and Idaho 7.
Mosaic, Strata. Because it's a whole series, right? Idaho 7.
Oh, it is.
So I've got to find the right one.
Yeah, there's the new one. New one just came out. I've got actually.
We've not tried it before. We did have a Hazy Days, I think, last episode, but it was a different hop bill
combination
in the series. Yeah,
it's really good. It's got a really dry, medium light, low to medium light bitterness to it. Mm-hmm. It's really well balanced. Really, really well balanced. I wouldn't have more than one because it's
palate fatigue.
Yeah, a little bit palate fatigue. I'd probably want something a bit more bitter, or something a bit like the Hellas or your Alta beer to follow this, which is my next one is a chocolate porter. So
yeah, right.
Cutting through it with that.
Out of 5?
It's really good. A 4. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Oh, it's Garage Project too, for those playing at home.
Yeah.
And not looking
what's the
at me
style?
badly.
Is it an IPA or
it's a hazy pale.
So it's a neat.
It's a hazy pale.
Okay. They've listed it as a
pale.
Nipah on Untapped, and I hate it when there's a disconnect between the cans and the Untapped.
So, don't stop me. Untapped.
Here's Tom Cicerone talk again. Let's roll. Everybody said
I'm not one of.
No.
Those wankers.
No. I'm talking about your complaint about Cicerones.
No, because I do now handle the back end of Untapped. So if someone else makes the beer before you get the chance to, they can just create it.
It is partially crowdsourced,
and
and therefore prone to stupidity.
So if you're one of those people who gets a beer before the brewery has got the chance to create it, maybe just
Yeah,
read the back
yeah.
of the can just a little bit, see what the style is, because they probably write it on. Maybe that'd be a good idea.
I've actually had that problem with a couple of beers that we've tried on the podcast where I've gone to add it into Untapped and it didn't exist. And unless I can get, because not all beer cans will tell you everything you need to know to create a beer profile on Untapped. So I've gotten halfway through and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not going to create a dodgy profile because that would be stupid of me. But apparently they put stupid in the water
That would
in
be
some towns.
disrespectful of you, Peter, to start it without the brewery entering their own beer.
I'd also like to point out, Dan, that both my cans are pretty much right on point.
Actually, I didn't check mine.
That is some good labeling.
Slow
Lane wins by
pretty
a
good.
mil. By a mil.
Mine's perfect on the first beer, which was the Monument, and my second beer, nice segue, is Slow Lane Brewing Altogether, which is an alt beer, which is an old traditional German ale. I asked Dan to describe it earlier, and I've since done a bit of research on it. It is a copper ale. It's very
coppery? Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's fucking
that's a good
beautiful.
colour.
In terms of balance, like I got a little bit of almost banana-y ester right at the start when I first cracked it. It's since dissipated, so I'm not getting any of that anymore. It's quite thin-bodied, and I think that's probably more because when you taste a malt-forward beer, unless it's like a red IPA, you kind of expect it to be quite heavy because you're typically drinking a darker beer. So this is a malt-forward beer that doesn't have any of that heaviness. So it's not really a criticism. It's just unusual.
But alt beers aren't meant to be. Alt beers are like table beers. Alt beers are meant to be the everyday drinker. They're meant to be like that. They're not meant to be chewy.
That's why I said it wasn't a criticism. Yeah. But it's just kind of I've never had an alt beer before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. It's almost bittersweet. So it's not overly bitter, but it's detectable with just the tiniest little bit of residual sugar at the end. Nice and caramelly. And it's almost, when I say it's thin, you almost get like the effervescence of like soda water rolling on your tongue while you're tasting the flavors, which is quite unusual as a mouthfeel.
Also, you got large carbonation bubbles.
Mm-hmm. That would be the more technical term for it, yeah. It's beautiful though. You get a little bit of...
What would have been great then is if, as you'd taken that 70, you'd be like, large combination. Just really act like
if I'd overplayed it, yeah. And I'm getting almost the molasses over sweetness so that it becomes bitter.
It's that's probably coming from like a dark crystal malt or a Caramunic 2, something darker caramelized on that side of it.
So one of the things I do like about Slow Lane is they give you the full malt, hops, yeast bills. So
read them to me, brother.
Munich, Pilsner, Gara Red, and Carafa Special. Cara Red?
Special?
Yeah, sorry, it's hard to read in this
line. Is there a number on that Carafa?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just Carafa Special. Hops were Tettnang and it's hard to read and it's in German. Hallertau, Mittelfrühe, and Saaz.
Hallertau Mittelfrüh.
Okay, and Saaz. And it's a German ale yeast. 5%. I'm giving it a fucking 5. Now, I don't have a reference point. I've never had an alt beer before. But as a beer that I've never tried before, I would drink the shit out of that. And
if someone was going to make a 5 out of 5 alt beer, it'd be Slow Lane.
I did.
Say that. I've had a couple. The last alt beer I had, I actually had to look it up because I know I've had a couple. I had one that was by Sailor's Grave, and I remember really, really.
Is Sailor's Grave an Aussie brewery?
So I'm gonna. Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I saw them in Beer Cartel today in the fridges, and I wasn't in the Aussie.
Yeah, no, they're like Highland. No, not Highland Victoria, but they're the border.
They got like a farm on site, and they use all their farm stuff. We've had several of them. Yeah, it's like a carrot and fucking carrot and yam and fucking the weird vegetable ones like that. Yeah, they're good. They're really out there. Vegetable ones are always very good.
I don't recall having them on the podcast, but no,
we had the weird carrot and whatever it was one when we did the big E3 episode many years ago.
Yeah,
Why
it's
the
like 3
fuck I
years
remember
ago.
that, and I can't
don't
remember
know.
where I put my goddamn car keys when I got home. I don't know. But
They're probably still in the ignition. That's a fantastic beer. And so as a style, it's kind of the Dusseldorf's primary beer, and apparently in quite a few pubs in Dusseldorf. It's the only Dusseldorf.
I wasn't going to correct you, but you got yourself.
Just to westernize everything. It's the only beer they serve. So, and I can understand, being kind of the table beer is spot on, like what you said before. If it's the only beer they serve in the bar, then you'd want it to be table beer worthy, right? As a style, something that you can drink plenty of. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any fucking money.
He's either scratching his ass or patting Jasper.
No, there's a goodest boy floating around. Oh,
yeah, he's playing with Jasper.
I was going to say, did you just pull that out of your ass?
This used to be Thor's
like a tail braid.
There should have been there should have been some words to go with that, Tom.
Yep, this used to be Thor's hammer, and Jasper did a heller on it and destroyed it. Now we've just got the handle.
He's still worthy though,
and he absolutely loves it. He is still worthy, aren't you? Aren't you?
And apparently, old beers are one of the few indigenous German ale styles, along with the blonde Kolsch from Cologne and the Hefeweizens of Bavaria. So I don't know why after doing the Hefeweizen from Moobrew last
Rauch beers, there'd be a lot
that
of
actually just reminds me.
ales though.
A little bit of late news, but beer related, which comes off Pete's. Just what he said there. I don't know if anyone else saw, but the craft arm of CUB are trying to reinvent the Aussie wheat ale.
Matilda Bay got sold off? Didn't the original guy rebuy it and relaunch it?
Yeah, but they're launching it through the Fire and Earth arm of CUB, which is the craft arm of CUB. So maybe it's like a handover-y thing. Here you go, you get your freedom back, but before you do this for us, boy.
I did see it. That was the rooftop. Was called rooftop? No, redback. That's it.
Redback.
It was the redback. Was the Aussie wheat. Yeah.
Yes.
When I was working,
which I'm pretty sure they used for a lot of the flame scenes in the original Mad Max Fury Road. Because it was so volatile. If you looked at it the wrong way, it would explode.
It was coming out of the fucking Doof Warriors Doofmobile.
That's what they had on the end of the sticks as they came down on the truck.
The redback, when I was working at the pub and Matilda Bay was making that and really, really pushing it, was you would get the massive big fucking wheat beer glasses, and then it belled out at the bottom, and you were meant to put a fucking quarter wedge of lime in there. A wedge of lemon. Like, not a goddamn slice, not anything. You were meant to cut a quarter lemon, drop it, and the bell at the bottom was meant to hold the lemon. Once it got down there, it was, you drop it in straight, and then it'd hit the bottom and then roll. So when you filled it up with beer, it would stay at the bottom, Yeah, so then you were to fill the rest of the glass up with the redback Aussie wheat beer, and they were nice glasses. They were fucking massive and a shit of a thing to wash because they didn't fit in any dishwashers. But
was that also to dissipate that was dissipating the head and all that kind of, like, because that's when if you're pouring a glass of the old post-mix Pepsi at the pub, you throw the lemon in halfway through, and then you
just
shoot
to kill
onto
the
lemon.
bubbles.
Dissipates the head from the citrus.
Like
the old blue moon.
Blue
if you have to,
moon.
If you put a slice of citrus in your beer, send it back.
Yeah, I mean, you were meant to try and put a large head on the redbacks as well. And from memory, it did pour fairly well in those days, but we are talking 22 years ago. So, interesting times. That was one of my first introductions to like unique glassware in pouring beers within a pub. So,
well, anyway,
I saw the can. I saw it. Yeah,
And hey-
I'll get some. I'm gonna get some.
Good luck
I'm
to
gonna
it.
try it, man. There's nostalgic reasons.
I will not.
You will not?
I will not.
I'll let you know how it goes.
No. Okay, if you give me a can, I will.
No.
drop kick that
I'll
over
drink
the
it.
fence.
I'll drink it. I'll let you know how it goes.
I'll still drop kick the can. You can chuck for the empty, and I can get a.
So I'm going to move on to some mini reviews before we take a break, just to
Yes.
propel us forward. So, Tom, you said you've seen the first episode of Miss Marvel. Dan, I assume you haven't had
Miss
a
Marvel.
chance to see any of it yet, Dan.
I still haven't watched fucking Hawkeye, man. I mean, you guys have heard me carry on about these things a couple of times. I'm a bit over all that side of it. Louise had to drag me to go and see Doctor Strange. I've got issues with that movie too. I've got some really good things I love, but I've got some major issues too with it.
It's got to be out to stream soon because I haven't seen it, and I'm
Today, I got the notification
There you go.
from Disney Plus on my way home from
goddamn.
work.
So now I've got. Well, there's another Miss Marvel that dropped tonight. There's the
Obi-Wan
final episode
final.
of Obi-Wan,
The final of Obi-Wan.
and then Mansions of Madness. I always misname it that. I'm just going to get run with it.
Multiverse. Yep.
Yeah, and then in 8 days,
Well, there are multiple
Yeah,
mansions,
he's not
so he's not
entirely
entirely
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah.
you see they're doing a Lego kit for the Sanctum Sanctorum.
And Cad Bane's ship from...
Okay.
Yeah, so look,
And the ATTE Walker as well. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
he's got his little piggy bank for Lego. So look, I'm enjoying Miss Marvel. It's not aimed at us, mid-40, 40-year-old cis men, but
Nah.
I'm enjoying...
It's just not aimed at 40-year-olds. It's definitely a more youthful TV show. It actually reminds me a lot of, in a fun little throwback way, to Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
Remember Ang Lee's Hulk, the Eric Bana one, and how they read real comic book style with the sliding panels and stuff? There's a lot of that kind of effects thrown in, but in a much
I
more refined
find it
way.
very Scott Pilgrim.
There's the actually that's actually probably
And
a
I'm
better way to
actually
put it.
enjoying
Yeah.
it. It's it's a teen drama.
Yeah.
I get it. It's not aimed at me, but I'm enjoying it for what it is, which is throw it on for half an hour. You're not really too invested in it, but you're still watching it properly. Yeah, it's fun.
It's a fun show. Like the first episode, Emma and I loved it. Yeah, we haven't been home together to watch 2 and now 3. Yeah,
Stranger Things. You're up to date, Tom? And
I am. I've run up that hill.
I don't think Dan's kind of been following that series at all from the start, right?
No, I watched 1 and 2, and then it all just by the time we got to
formulaic.
end, by the time we got to end of season 2, I'm like, well, they just upped the ante and did exactly the same shit as they did in season 1. Louise has been watching it. She watched all of season 4. She watched all of season 3 and 4. So same as Game of Thrones. I know everything that's happened.
But you've not watched it.
I've been dropping in and out at key points. She asked me who Vecna was.
Yeah,
Is
pretty
that how you pronounce his
obscure.
name?
Yeah, Vecna. It's a pretty obscure demi-lich from AD&D.
Well, you say that, but he's on the fucking front cover of the Dungeon Master Guide.
Yes, but there is no description for Vecna in any of that until recently they've released rules for Vecna because of Stranger Things, not the other way around. So the 5th edition D&D Vecna story has only just been released to D&D Beyond because
I
of Stranger
guarantee
Things.
that's the Lich on the front of the fucking Dungeon Master's Guide, though.
Probably, but he's not the only demi-lich in D&D.
I know.
I'm Googling it as we speak, but Stranger Things
I've
Season
got
4...
it right here beside me.
It's not going to tell me who it is, though. It's just I know what the
okay.
picture looks like. Who's on the cover of the 5e... This is my Google Foo in action.
Who's on the cover of Vogue magazine, 1996 May edition?
It's
It's Vecna.
Wearing a very stylish...
Follow his makeup tutorials for further
You know,
tips.
you're scarily good at coming up with shit like that on the fly. It's kind of concerning.
I'm occasionally intelligent.
No, it's
Peter.
not
I know
an
it's a
IQ
surprise
thing.
to you, but occasionally.
No. It's just a lich. Tyler Jacobson illustrates the arch lich Akarak as he raises an
Okay.
army of undead and prepares to unleash it on the unsuspecting world.
There
You
you
know,
go.
Vecna was like an AD&D or an original Dungeons & Dragons and an advanced Dungeons & Dragons bad guy in some of their third-party written content. It's not even original. And so 5th edition, it was originally third-party written again. One of the DM guilds wrote
Hey,
some content
spoilers
for him.
for season 4 of Stranger Things.
You know, well, they name him as... But, you know, that's what I've always enjoyed about Stranger Things is there's real bad shit happening and real like horror shit happening, and they've continued to kind of manipulate the D&D metaphor because it's not literally Vecna. It's just a horror creature in the Upside Down, but they use D&D references to explain to the audience what the fuck's going on and to each other. So,
Question: If I don't know if you guys know this, but being more into D&D than I am, have
you met Tom?
The guys behind D&D? Is that
Sorry.
is that
Just the way you said that, it was very How I Met Your Mother. Carry on. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's back. It's back. No. So the D&D was Wizards of the
Not originally,
Coast?
but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now is, yeah.
Well, have they seen, due to the like phenomenon, for lack of a better word, that is Stranger Things, an increase in sales in terms of like their books or people taking up D&D? Because the first first or second episode of this season, it shows them playing an actual campaign.
They did in the first series
again, which they hadn't done that since. But I mean, they hadn't really done that since the first series. It seems like they've come back and doubled down on the whole D&D.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything, any articles to that effect, but I would be very surprised.
Because that'd
I'd
be
be
pretty
very
cool
surprised
if
if
they
it
had,
hasn't increased sales of D&D. But I did go back and look at the full history. So what I did was I watched, and this does shit me. I don't understand why Netflix released season 4 in 2 parts. It's a 9-episode season. They released the first 7 episodes and then 6 weeks later released the final 2. Like, if you're going to do it...
Yeah, but the final 2 are also 5 hours worth of content.
They're an hour. They're
long
90 minutes
episodes.
each. So they're movie length.
No, they're not. The second episode, the last one, is 2.5 hours long. They released the runtime the other day. It's a movie.
But my point is still, why bother splitting the season? If you're going to do a mid-season break,
get an extra month out of
Netflix.
subscriptions. It's exactly why they fucking do it. It's like, how is that even a question?
Because Netflix
It's 6
subscriptions
weeks,
have been
Pete.
dropping off like flies off an old corpse.
They
I'm
probably
not
get
disputing-
3 months prescriptions, subscriptions out of people.
I'm not disputing...
I'm going to prescribe you 3 months of Netflix and stick this pill up your ass.
Comes with the blue
Suppository
pills.
style.
It's Netflix and chill prescribed. No, my question was more why just do the last 2 episodes? If you're going to do a mid-season break, do a mid-season break. Do 4 episodes, then 4 episodes, or do 1 episode a week and you get fucking 8 weeks out of it. But release all of them to binge except the final 2 episodes that close out the season. Just made no sense to me. But the season has been good, and it has been more original than seasons 2 and 3. Season 1 was season 1 was Mind Flayer.
But that said, I think it definitely took Emma and I until about, well, definitely for me, I can't speak for Emma, but like I think we both had the same reaction of like end of episode 2, beginning of episode 3. It was like, it
was very Scooby-Doo
again. Like this feels a lot like season 1, where it's like hooked us again. Like it was
it's horror
very
mystery.
good.
They're researching. They're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. They're piecing it together. There's lots of tension.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this season. It did get formulaic, Dan. You're right. Season 1 was the Mind Flayer. Season 2 was there's more Mind Flayers.
No, first season was Demigorgon.
Sorry. The second season was the
Mind
Mind Flayer, and more Demigorgons. Season 3 was lots and lots of Demigorgons and the Mind Flayer again, the other half of the Mind Flayer. It started to get very repetitious, and now the big bad from season 1, there's millions of them, and they're just kind of background cast. So, they are up in the ante, but then they've also said season 5 and they're done. So they're only going to push it so far. I think they've realised it's become a little bit formulaic.
I got to say, though, having watched the whole of the part 1 of season 4, and some of those episodes did get up to, an hour and a half already. And it's like, that in this day and age, that's a lot to invest with everything that's coming out these days that we like to do. But they really could have, cut a good half an hour out of some of those episodes if they weren't doing the same panning shot through the Russian snow of that prison. Some shots I got really tired of seeing repeated. And it was the same problem I had with Dune, when it was the repeated shot of Zendaya walking through the sand with the sparkly sand popping up. It was just like, I get it. It's a beautiful shot. I'm not going to deny that. But do I need to see it every kind of 20 minutes? No. I know it relates to his vision and whatever.
I'll be honest with you.
I'm intelligent enough to know that that's a thing. You can move on. I don't know. It's just the same thing with this. There were so many unnecessary panning shots of just
in
snowscapes and forest scenes.
I think they could have cut.
It was just
I think they could have cut the whole
up.
Russian section out of the season, and it wouldn't have lost anything. To be honest, they needed.
Oh no, man of many faces.
It took me a while to figure out who he was, because I knew him instantly, and even his accent hasn't changed. But it took me.
Oh no! I turned to everyone and I was like, "Little girl."
A man will do a thing.
He was great.
Yes.
Man will do a thing.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, that said,
me too.
I'm hooked again.
So
I can't wait.
I watched the
last
first
episode.
7 episodes of Stranger Things season 4, and then just because I'm a stickler and it's been several years, I went back and watched the entire thing from start to finish. So seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. And the second half comes out in 8 days on the 1st of July. Dan, you wanted to talk about Blood Red Scar.
Yeah, this is the perfect point to chuck this in. I won't be long about this. I've been wanting to watch this movie for ages. It came out last year. Hadn't really gotten to it. It's vampires on a plane. Not going to lie, that's what it is. Vampires on a plane. 90% of the movie takes place on a double-decker jumbo jet. That's where this movie happens. And it's good old Nosferatu style
sick to death
fucking vampires on this motherfucking plane.
Motherfucking plane.
It's good. It's one of those quality B grade movies. It's set. There's no spoilers here because it's in the fucking icon on Netflix that it's a female vampire. The first person you meet in the movie is a lady that looks like she's got some leukemia sick disease. So straight away you go, yep, she's the vampire and she's about to get on a plane. So there's no hiding in that. It's a mother taking her son on a flight from Europe, from Germany to New York. So they're traveling with the night. So it's night in Germany. And they're going to land back in New York 5 hours or 6 hours, whatever it is behind. They're going to land in the night again. So that's the only time she can obviously travel with the vampire mythology within this movie. And then shit just goes
in most vampire mythology.
Yeah, I mean,
being direct sunlight.
Yeah,
unless you're Blade.
Yeah, most. No, there's plenty of vampire mythology that is to daywalkers. So shit just goes fucking off the hook within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then it's just haywire vampire on the plane action from there on out.
With terrorists, apparently.
With terrorists, yes. I wasn't going to mention the terrorists because the terrorist was a bit of a spoiler, but you want to throw it out there? We'll say that's what goes haywire.
Literally in the first picture that comes up for the show, it's in the title of the picture on YouTube. So
the plane she's on gets hijacked, and they try and change the course of the plane, which she's obviously like, no motherfucker, we cannot go that way. We are going this way. So that then changes the dynamic of how she reacts to them on there, and then it really does just go really bonkers.
Mental.
And it's claustrophobic because you're dealing with... So it's obviously a Hollywood set, so it's an oversized plane. Everybody has a huge amount of leg room, even in cattle class. So it's fake straight off the bat. and it's a 2-leveled plane. There's cargo underneath that has enough room for everybody to stand up and walk around and have action sequences in. And there's enough seat space. It is a big motherfucking plane. But it was really, really enjoyable. It was up there with not quite to Evil Dead status for me because there wasn't a character like Bruce Campbell in there. But to me, it's that kind of B-grade movie. It's this quality, well-written, well-scripted. You can see everybody that was involved in it was like 100% on board with the story that they were trying to tell there. And they were getting into it. And there's one of the terrorist dudes in there that is not... He's one of the henchmen terrorist guys, but ends up playing a major role within the story as it goes along. And he's just great. He's this fucking sick, twisted, sadistic bastard. And just how this actor plays out that character is fucking fantastic. And just being one of the major antagonists in the end of the movie is really good. And the lady that plays
Dominic Purcell in it?
No, that's the Aussie guy.
The guy
from Prison Break.
Yeah. Is that him?
No, okay. No. He's the lead. He's the head of the terrorist cell.
Right, but it is Dominic Purcell, and I'm not okay. It's not just a lookalike. The screenshot I'm looking at is pretty dodgy. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's him, and it's really good. It's well worth watch. It's well worth a watch. It's very well paced. I've got to say that it didn't feel too long, but it didn't feel rushed. Nothing felt rushed. Even the big decisions they were making for the characters within the movie were like they were life or death decisions for these people, and nothing felt rushed and ill thought out on their behalf. And the way the terrorist cell then plays on it really tapped into some modern, I guess, racial stereotypes where the terrorists really play on some Muslim passengers in there and really draw them in to be the fucking scapegoats for their shenanigans that they're doing. It really played on some of those aspects, and then just how it ended. I thought it was fantastic. It just really, really great. And I mean, and the best thing about it, it's a fucking standalone. There was no. I said to Louise, we're going to have to watch the credits all the way to the end just to see if there's one little teaser of some fucking vampire popping out of the snow.
Apparently Netflix are talking about a sequel.
Oh, no. Come on, man. You got to always spoil this shit for me. I always say good standalone, that's it. No, nothing more.
Just reporting.
And you fucking drop those bombs on me. Just don't, man.
You just said, I mean, how could I let that go unanswered if they're in room? Like, it's just a rumor that they're in talks about it. But I got another one.
Fine, whatever.
Another quick one for you before we go to break. Have you guys seen Spiderhead on Netflix?
Never even heard of it.
No, that only just came out.
It popped up on my list. It had Chris Hemsworth in it. I watched it.
And Miles Teller.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It wasn't... It was not what I expected it to be.
What'd you say it was called? Spiderhead? I thought it was called Spearhead.
No, Spiderhead.
Spiderhead.
It's all set in a futuristic prison where the prisoners and the guards coexist. There's no cells, there's no locks, they can come and go as they please. And basically, the head of the prison is experimenting on the prisoners. They've consented to test mood-altering pharmaceuticals. Shenanigans ensues. But it's almost art house in that, like, it's got Hollywood actors in it. They're A-listers, Chris Hemsworth, obviously. But the pacing and the themes are really just off. They're just discordant. And you can't quite put your finger on why. So as an experience, it kind of reminded me of The Island in that it's kind of this weird layers of reality on, and with a twist that you see coming a mile away, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
I've seen the trailer for it, but I haven't watched it yet. Because I think it only dropped on Netflix on
I must have
Friday night or something. It's a very
must have
very
just been
recent
cruising for something to
release.
watch
Yeah.
at the exact right time because it popped up and I went, yeah, I'm not ready to commit to Squid Games yet, so I'll watch Spiderhead instead. I'd recommend watching it. Just don't expect it to be the best thing you've seen this month, if that makes sense. It's just a bit off, but still worth the experience. And on that note, shall we take a break?
I gotta pee.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We've all got to pee. Pee party.
Okay.
Hey, hey.
And we're back. I think we just generated the shorts content. We don't put up enough shorts.
No, they have been lacking. They
have been lacking.
To go back.
They bring a lot of traffic to our YouTube channel. Not a lot of people subscribe as a result, but they like seeing Tom play with his nipples and use his fake lipstick. We got all the dislikes on our entire channel come from that one video. We've never had a dislike before.
So I was watching. I sent Dan
We
this.
enjoyed
I sent Dan this Instagram profile the other day that was it's all about Mandalorian armor and like clone.
We're on the
trooper armor
record
and,
too,
like,
Tom. I'm not sure where you're going with it.
No, that's just fun.
Carry on.
This is actually it's kind of funny. But how I got to that site, I was like, I just went into the like Instagram Discover, which is what I do when I'm bored and waiting for something. And I was waiting for Just to be done at the vet, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna look at sweet Star Wars content. And it came up with one of the Instagram reels, and it was someone had done there was like it would have been like 100 dudes in clone trooper armor being led by Jango Fett into a convention. Super cool. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I like looked at the music playing, and I was expecting like Imperial March or any of the Clone Troopers soundtracks. It was the
the Buffalo Belt, yeah.
But just with then people marching in Clone Trooper armor, and I was like, well, I know the internet's full of weird people, but I really hope that's not like there's just one person just being, yes, March. Yeah,
Would you
this
fuck
is
me?
Lotion on this.
I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. I don't know how the fuck that our first half was a 90-minute half. I really didn't think it was. Didn't seem that
Shenanigans,
long.
Peter. Shenanigans ensued.
It's always
To use your own quote.
always shenanigans. And that's when I replied to that video saying that's how I feel when I go to Gabs with Dan, because you walk around Gabs with Dan and it's like you just kind of under the hairy arm or the hairy wing of beer royalty, because everyone who's
And
anyone
that
at
song's
Gabs
playing in
fucking
the back of your
knows
head,
Dan.
just-
Always. That's why I always bring a chapstick to Gabs. Third
Stand in
beers.
the background and apply it.
Third beers. Oh,
Just
I'm
don't
going to
trip
go
into
'cause
my
you said
pits.
third beers. My third beer has a giant 3 on it. That's very appropriate. It's like I
Had
numbered
three
them
Ravens for a
beforehand.
while.
I know.
Isn't that,
So this is well, you did the three Ravens.
I did.
Wasn't it? I think that was the last time we had them.
Hmm.
Which I then
Was.
the week after picked up.
It was
Those
a great
three.
pack,
Those
that
were
one,
the
right? Yeah.
This is Three Ravens, one of their Nevermore seasonal series. This is their fresh roast brown ale. I fucking love a brown ale.
Yeah,
I love
so
a
do
fucking
I.
brown ale. A good brown ale. I don't need a sweet brown ale. It needs to
Nope.
be roasty.
Yep.
Needs to be like slightly burnt toast. Just a little bit of sweetness
black
on the
malt,
top.
little bit of campfire ash in there.
Ooh, yeah,
Nice
daddy.
and dry. Little bit of
Yeah.
astringency. Yeah.
You basically just described what's in my glass. A little bit of sweetness to it though. This one has it's like almost like caramel sweetness. But it's a nice more light. Hello. And the head did dissipate a little bit quicker than I thought it would have. But it's got heap of that biscuit note, little bit nutty. But again that caramel. And it comes in at 5.2%. Yeah, really, 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 really good. Love a good. It's a nice classic take with just that little twist. They did use toasted oats and crystal malt from Gladfield, and they moderately hopped it with Ella, Hallertau Blanc, and Idaho 7. So
Okay.
That's an interesting combination. A fucking
You don't get
a
much
New
of that, like-
Zealand, a fucking noble, and an American. Oh no,
It's all
Aussie.
about
Sorry,
that.
Aussie, noble and an American. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Is
So there's not
there
much
much sweetness
of
in
that,
it?
that hop. Yeah, definitely. There's a little bit of it, but it's balanced nicely against that kind of
So
those
chocolate
biscuity
rather
notes.
than cacao, because you often get
caramel.
cacao.
Caramel.
Yeah, okay.
Caramel. Yeah, it's more of that caramel sweetness because it's a little bit bitter. It's like that kind of like burnt caramel. Really
Sounds
good.
really
Really,
good,
if you
actually.
find it, it's really recommend. I'd definitely give this 4.5. This is great.
Cool. I didn't see any Three
And
Ravens
cool
at
kind of
Beer Cartel.
psychedelic art as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah, I didn't see any
Yeah.
Three Ravens in the fridges at Beer Cartel, and because I bought my beers for the episode so late, I needed to go to the fridges rather than shelves.
Mm.
I'll have to keep an eye out. Dan, what are you drinking? Montclair?
I was really looking forward to this one, and I still do enjoy it. But there's one element that, once again, I fall into this fucking trap, right? Is where I guess I'm a little bit like Tom when his eyes lit up when he found the website with a whole bunch of beers that he hadn't had before. And I fucking opened the fridge at Quaker Cellars this afternoon, and there was a beautiful white bay porter staring me right in the face, and I flicked it around. I've gone, what alcohol percentage is that? And it's
7.
Now I can't find it. Now where the fuck is it? No, it's not 6.3. It's tiny. I would almost argue that is not legal size, but anyway. And I'm like, yes, that sounds like me. A really nice porter to have on the podcast tonight. It's got it says coconut and cocoa nibs on the front of it, and I'm like, yes, I will have that. And I poured it into my glass. I took my first sip, and I'm like, that's a little bit sweet. Read the back of it. It's got fucking lactose in it.
In a
Anyway.
porter?
Yes. Anyway, it's still really nice. The cocoa chocolate character being rounded out by the cocoa nibs. The coconut tastes like toasted coconut sort of background sort of character. It's got that really, really chocolatey notes to it. But I just wanted a porter, man. I mean, I wanted
Like a Baltic.
Badlands English porter. I wanted that
Ooh,
nice,
the darkness.
dry.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That nice, exactly what me
yes.
and Tom just said about that. It's got that black malt character to it. It's nice and dry and roasty. No sweetness to it. It's just a good kick in the nuts English porter. This is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's very nice for what it is, but
Yep.
it's too sweet for my liking.
I will need to get you one of. I've said I won't really promote batch beers anymore. I won't taste them on the podcast because I feel it's a bit crossing the lines. But I will say, Luke Dubs Williams, who's one of our brewers, just did his first English porter, and it is hot diggity fucking damn. It's
Excellent.
good. It is a
Yep.
classic. I had it last night at the end of the night. Unfortunately, I drank it while watching the second episode of The Boys I watched for the day. So it's, trying to watch something disgusting while drinking something delicious.
Oh,
It was
I love that
parallel in my
show.
brain.
That Boys
Yeah.
TV series is like a guilty pleasure. I think it's just so wrong that
Many things made. I haven't had that much skin
Oh.
crawling in a long time. But
Really?
it felt good. But yeah,
I
Dan, I'll
laugh.
have to get you one of those cans.
It actually says toasted coconut on the back. I probably should read this first. I got to the lactose line and I'm like, fuck. And the next line is toasted coconut and organic cocoa nibs. Yes. It doesn't really have the really good background or the backbone of a really excellent chocolatey porter, but just that.
What did you give it out of 5? Did I miss that?
Ah, man, it's like this is one of those things. This is one of those times where I'm going to go, you know what? It's a fucking good beer. It's a 4-worthy beer. It's just not what I wanted it to be. So if this was me being one of those
And
knobs,
that is
like
the
we're not-
correct way to rate the beer.
yeah, I don't like fucking sweet porters, so I'm going to give it a 2. But it's not. It's a fucking
get it.
good beer. It's an
I get-
excellent beer.
I-
So
I-
it is really
I like
good
that you
and
also
it's
did
worthy.
the typing as if it was one finger.
Sternly worded letter. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we're not judging for the beer awards. We have a right to have an opinion, and for that opinion to affect the.
Yeah, but your
the
opinion is
rating.
wrong.
Okay, I haven't given an opinion yet, but all right, fuck you, Dan. I am marking down this beer. I can tell you that. I noticed because as I've said to you guys, as I mentioned earlier, I've been racing through the back catalogue of video episodes that were outstanding, and one of the episodes in the last 4, the 4 beers I had on that episode, I rated 2, 2.5, 2, 2.5. I had a bad beer run that episode, but they were legit. Like, they did not do what they said they would on the can. And I've kind of got that problem now. And I would like some input as to why you think that might be. So this is Dainton's Crumblicious, or otherwise known as their Violent Crumble. It's a honeycomb and toffee stout at 7.1%. Now, it's an Easter beer. It was brewed in February, but it is also a stout, so I would expect it to have a fairly long shelf life in comparison to something like a hop-forward beer. And yet, it doesn't taste anything like they say it should. So, looking at their untapped description, new name, less rock and no giant gorillas. Same amount of bees and chocolate toffee deliciousness throughout. Like a big honeycomb hug for your tongue. I was really looking forward to honeycomb and toffee in a stout. A sweet stout. I get what I know our palates are different, Dan. You prefer a different kind of stout.
No. They've got to stop letting their marketing people write their fucking beer descriptions. Is what they've got to do.
The beer does not taste anything like honeycomb and toffee. So I do.
Honeycomb toffee is a really easy character to get in. I mean, you can get toffee just from malts. And you can actually get a malt literally called toffee malt. And you chew the grain, and it's like the grain is chewy. Like most grains are like dry and powdery because they're like still starchy or whatever, or they're like roasted to a point where they're like flaky. Then you get crystal malts that are really crunchy and have that slight, when they mix with your saliva, they get that slight like crystally sweet character to it. But then Gladfield has a malt called toffee malt. And it is literally, you put some grains in your mouth and it's like chewing fucking
toffee.
Like a toffee lolly. Like there is so much sugar, like caramelized sugar in it. And the grains are, you almost, how you taste them, you almost expect them to squeeze in your fingers and be soggy. But yeah. So it's an easy character. Honeycomb, on the other hand, is a fucking terribly hard character to get in. Honey in any kind of beer is a terribly hard character, but I guess honeycomb's more a caramelized sugar characteristic. Tom's about to start doing chin-ups.
Yeah, bro, just got to get my reps in. Still look real buff.
You're so swole, Tom. You're so swole, bro.
I am Ben Swallow from episode 9.
Wow. Fucking hell, you just had to take it up to that level, Tom. So this beer, the one thing that's ruining it, the one thing that does not belong in the beer based on all the description between the can and the untapped is smoke. It's got a real acrid smoke, like liquid smoke flavor. Almost tar. Doesn't belong in what they're describing as a sweet stout. You do certainly get chocolate, you get coffee. You get a lot of residual sugar, so it is a sweet beer. It's only 55 IBU, 33 IBU rather, so it's not at all bitter. I think
I remember having this beer about 2 years ago, and I remember getting heaps of honeycomb. So I don't know if they maybe just fuck this.
I don't know if I've gotten a bad sample. I don't know if it will change. I'm gonna actually. I've only drunken a third of what I poured. I'm going to let that warm up and just see if it changes, because at the moment, certainly while it's cold, the smoke has just completely overpowered the palate.
Right.
So at the moment, I'm giving it a
it's on a
2.5
score.
But I'm gonna leave that open ended, and I'll come back to it at the end of Trailer Trash and I might revise and I might not.
So
It's
Pete's
a
gone up
shame.
to the box, and he's going to let that one be reviewed, and then we'll come back to you viewers in a short amount of time.
Well, I'm trying to be fair, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I might have a bad sample. I don't know, but certainly how it, if I said to you, here's a honeycomb and toffee stout, and you tried it, and all you could get was smoke, you'd probably be equally disappointed.
100%. No.
So, yeah, I don't know why. Cool. All right, so I'm putting in 2.5 as my tentative score. Let's do trailer trash.
Trailer trash.
Can we wait a minute? Where's this?
Pause the episode.
I've lost the run sheet. No. Oh no, praise the first one. Yep, let's roll with it. Do trailer trash. Yep.
Prey
I was
is
super stoked when I found this trailer too, by the way. I was very happy.
It's not being advertised as a continuation of the Predator series, but it is very clearly a Predator movie.
I heard they were doing Predator versus Native Americans, and
That's exactly what they've done.
And I'd known that for a good, probably year or two that they were doing it. And then this Prey popped up on my YouTube suggested algorithm screen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, it's like 2 minutes long. Let's have a look. So I like a good fictional period piece. Let's have a look and see what this is. Well, no, like there's a movie called Pathfinder. It's got Carl Urban in it, and it's like Vikings and Native Americans. I like those fantasy crossover, historical crossover things. So I chucked this on, and I'm like,
oh, Pathfinder,
Hold on
that's
a
a
minute.
fucking... Oh, yeah, that takes me... That just took me back. I just remember that film. Excuse me, I need to go watch it.
and then I started to hear the clicks, and I'm, hold on a sec, that's Predator noise, and then you see the fucking 3 dots, and I'm like, holy shit. Okay.
Well, you see the ship coming out of the sky at the very start, but they don't. They don't show you.
It
that
almost
it's a
looks
ship.
like a meteor, yeah. If you're not,
Yeah.
If you didn't know, that's the thing. I think we all watched it after Dan said, "Here's a new Predator film trailer. It's Predator versus,
I'm watching
Americans
it on
here."
the other side again because it's that.
I
Fucking good. It's on mute.
consciously said that in the chat because I didn't if I just put it in there and said, "Hey, watch this. It's pretty fucking cool." But if I went and said, "Hey, this is the next Predator movie,"
Everyone's going to
everybody's
drop
gonna
whatever
go
they're doing and
watch it exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
I stopped
mentioned
serving a customer mid-pour to watch that trailer when you sent that because you put it was the Predator trailer.
But it's all right. It was a Guinness, so it needed time to settle anyway. Fuck them. From the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane too, which I was a great
you can
psychological
see,
thriller.
you can 100% see that though. Yeah.
Yep.
Even in the trailer. Yeah.
I do like that she's she has some sort of sign language going with her dingo, and that dog looks a lot like a fucking. It's not a dingo, just for the record, but it looked a lot like one. No, it's.
I
kind
also
of
would
left
like to
field.
attach a string to my axe and fling that around. That would
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
I
And
love the
retract
Blades of
it.
Chaos. I love
Yeah.
the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah.
I would like to use them against the Predator, please.
And
That would
that's
be fun.
That's the thing about it. It was the right level of fictional fantasy.
It's not
she's
taking
throwing
itself
an
too
axe
seriously.
and it's fucking coming straight back to her hand on a fucking elastic string kind of thing, or an invisible string that just comes back, just whips it straight back in a straight line. There was a right
it's
amount
almost
of
an
that.
Assassin's Creed weapon.
Yeah, exactly. There was the right amount of that versus.
Do you reckon it'll have the nice little quiver as she pulls it back where it goes... Just to appease you, they've actually listened to the podcast and they've put that shot in just to please Dan. Oh, we lost that
Gone
again.
again. Maybe hit that same button again, and we continued on like professionals, Tom, didn't we? So yes, they
Well,
are
they did
going
seem to evolve the Predator, yes,
They
or
did seem to
de-evolve them,
evolve the
depending
Predator.
on your view on
De-evolve.
history.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Predator,
The-
Predator.
They did have a shield. I don't know what the fuck. That wasn't my fault that time, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what
nice
just happened
work,
there.
fellas, for your
You
professional
called it out,
cover.
Peter. What are you talking about? We continued on like pure professionals.
Like pure professionals.
Yeah.
Did you just say Predator for the whole 60 seconds it took me to come back?
You'll find out when you edit the recording.
So anyway, 7.1% on this beer. Looks really good. And then the second... Sorry.
Yeah, I just think it was a very after that atrocity that they released, the Predator. It was a really clever move to go back to a grassroots single person versus a single predator, and not try and introduce. And I really, really, really hope that when we see more of the Predator, that it's a person in a suit. And not some CGI monstrosity abomination that they introduced.
Just a metal ball on a stick.
It has to be in that environment where there's nothing artificial. I say that very, very loosely. When there's no, because that CGI one didn't fit into the artificial human modern world of vehicles and military equipment. It didn't fit in there, but you throw something that into there where there's Native Americans throwing axes and animals in a native environment with no man-made structures, straight line things around it. It's going to stand out even worse.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully it feels thematically like they've gone back to the roots of the original Predator movie.
Yeah.
And in fact, there is just a brief half-second flash of her hiding her body in
mud, in the mud pool.
Yeah. That's what I was saying when Chrome crashed. Yeah, looking forward to it. And then the second trailer I was hesitant to put in, but there wasn't a lot of. There didn't seem to be a lot of trailers this cycle. Black Adam. We've got the full trailer.
You said full trailer. Is there a full trailer?
Yeah. It was released 6 days ago, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's not the trailer that we were already taking the piss out of on the podcast before. We never showed the trailer, but it contains some of the same sequences.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. I think I've got it. I'm just going to play it in the background.
Yeah.
So this is him sounding like The Rock, looking like Black Adam. Pierce Brosnan looks great.
Yeah, he does.
Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is his character.
It will be Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the background cast or the background characters. I'm more interested in than Black Adam. Black Adam as a character is actually quite cool in the comics and the DC Universe Online video game kind of storyline that he plays in. They were quite cool, but I'm interested to see the Atom. It looks like a complete rip-off of Ant-Man, unfortunately, but what's wrong, Dan?
It's just the fucking music choice.
Let us share the burden of your woes. Yeah, I know. It's just
like Hawkman looks fucking cool. It just there's a
he
couple
looks
of cool.
really fucking good too.
Yeah, like Adam. The Atom looks cool. I've seen the Atom mask compared to the Deadpool mask and the Moon Knight mask.
Yeah, but
I mean the full thing that I took away. I don't know if this is the one I've actually seen or not, but I've kind of cancelled this out of my brain a little bit. But it's really funny thinking about back to the final episode of Moon Knight with what'd you say her name was? Red Scarab or something, Tom? The
girl,
Scarab,
Scarlet Scarab, something like that.
Yeah,
Scarlet Scarab, and like it now feels like a real dig at DC doing Black Adam when the little girl turns to her and says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she says yes. And it really feels like it took so long for DC to put this movie out. The Marvel's just gone, you know what? Fuck you. We were like 3 years later in developing this, and we've beat you to the punch, and we've now scored the young female. We've pulled all of the young females away from your Wonder Woman, and we've now pulled all of the Egyptian, or people wanting the Egyptian superhero away from your Black Adam character, who's not fucking Egyptian.
No, he's not. And they didn't overplay it the way they did in the Wonder Woman. Even in the Schneider cut, it was even worse. The little girl in the bank says at the end of that whole sequence.
That was horrendous.
You can be anyone you want to be, little girl.
No, you fucking can't, because you can't be Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Sorry, did you grow up on Themyscira? Like, no. Yeah. Well, then, no. Sorry.
Also, give up on your dreams. Life is hard and you're going to fail.
Well, maybe not give her a crushing answer, but something realistic so she doesn't jump off a building the next day thinking she might be able to fly.
Or can I throw this man out of a fucking window and splatter him against a windshield like she did 30 seconds beforehand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Nah, I mean, I'm done. I'm not even going to finish that fucking trailer. Like, fuck that shit. Like,
I'll watch the movie, but when it's
nah.
free to
free.
to stream, I won't pay for it.
Absolutely not spending money on that rubbish.
And that's all I could find for trailer trash this cycle. And it wasn't even a fortnight, it was 3 weeks.
Except all of those trailers that came out of Summer Games Fest that I was speaking to you about.
Hey, listen, if someone else wants to, add some shit to the show notes, there's only so much I could do.
That's fair. That's on me. I actually I should have put more into this week, Peter, and I apologize to you in front of everyone. And I'm sorry. And I will be better next time, and I will write my notes up in due time.
Could we?
Please don't beat
we're probably
me,
not.
Father.
We're probably not ready for the fourth beer, right?
No, I
want to
get half of it.
Let's get started with the main topic for this podcast.
Yeah, jump
episode,
in. We can have a little break in between,
which is
the
directorial kind of review of James Cameron, the director, who has written more movies than he's directed. I was quite surprised when I went through the actual stats.
That's a pretty cool little
I love
fact.
how you said on his fifth wife.
So here's some headline topics.
Here's a quick breakdown on James Cameron, thanks to Peter. Take it away, Peter.
Thank you, Tom. He's written 61 movies, produced 45. He's actually only directed 26. He's one of the most well-known older generation directors. And he's on his fifth wife. Yes, I wrote that down because I did find, like, everyone knows that he was married to Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
But all of his ex-wives, except for the first, have been in the same industry. They've either been producers / directors / writers. There was two of those. Then he married Linda Hamilton. That was his fourth wife. They're only married for 2 years. And that came out of, obviously, Terminator 2. And now he's married to Susie Amos, who was an actress in Titanic. So 2 movies later, he divorces the wife from the first movie, T2, and marries someone from Titanic. But actually, Susie Amos has been in a shitload of movies, but never really as a starring character that I could see. But in terms of his career directing, I used to call him the only director, and this is a long time ago, the only director that could pull off a sequel. Because there were so many sequel movies in Hollywood at the time in the 90s, from start to finish, late 80s, kind of a little bit, but throughout the 90s, there were a bunch of sequel movies that were complete and utter travesties of movies. And then you had James Cameron, who wrote Terminator 2, wrote and directed Terminator 2, absolutely brilliant sequel that genuinely added something to the original content and something new and different. Aliens totally changed the whole Ridley Scott kind of alien concept, but in an additive way. Instead of taking it in a completely different direction, he continued the existing IP universe. And then so he was, and Rambo.
Same thing with T2 to expanded the universe.
Although he wrote Terminator 1, so he was kind of expanding his own IP, but yes. So if you look at his notable movies, I wrote down just a short list: Terminator, Rambo 2, or Rambo First Blood Part 2.
That was the thing that I didn't know he had anything to do with Rambo.
So he wrote it. Yeah, he was the screenplay writer for it.
Yeah.
Then Aliens, The Abyss. I love The Abyss. That was like an E.T.-esque, like Spielberg-style science fiction, true science fiction of the time. Terminator 2, True Lies, which...
Oh, True Lies.
I love that fucking movie.
You gotta love True Lies.
It's
everybody
a
of our age loves True Lies.
Yeah.
Tom
do
Arnold,
it slower. Do it sexy.
Stallone and oh god, I wanted to say Glenn Close, but it's not Glenn Close.
Oh,
it's shit. What's her name?
Lady person.
The lady from Halloween.
I know who you're talking about, and she's in so much shit.
Yes.
But whose IMDb foo is the strongest? That is the question.
Because neither are me and Tom, neither me or...
But every time I open up a fucking second window, I crash the recording app, so I'm kind of scared. That's right. It's coming up now. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Wasn't she in Halloween?
That's what I said, the Halloween lady.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
I actually had there was a conversation the other day about True Lies and how good a movie it was, and then everyone just kind of sat at the table and one guy was like, "Yeah, it's a really good film." Anyone else have their sexual awakening to Jamie Lee Curtis in that film? Everyone's kind of turned around and went,
when she's pole dancing on the bed.
and everyone just went, "Look, we didn't want to say it, but you're right. You're 100% right. It happened."
I can't quite say that I was on that bandwagon, but it was quite a scene. That's why I quoted it. Do it slower, do it sexy, and he drops the tape recorder.
And
he's just
for lack of sounding like a sexist pig these days,
misogynist,
but Tia Korea was in like the intro scene in the mansion. Arnie's dancing with her in the
Yes.
the mansion. Yeah.
Tia Carrere as Juno
Yeah.
Skinner.
Very, 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 very lovely lady. Yes. Continue.
And then he shot a dude with a Harrier, and it was awesome.
collapsed a bridge.
That's right, yeah. It's probably the first time
truth
you...
serum, man. The truth serum scene. Nobody could beat the truth serum scene.
Oh,
it's
man.
the fucking one of the best Arnie scenes out of all of his fucking movies. Other than the Terminator talking about the drapes he was hanging in somebody's fucking like house. I think that is the second best fucking
Oh, I
Arnie
now get
scene
that
out of
reference. I now
all
get that
of-
reference, yeah.
yeah.
Out
of all of-
so
out
my
of all-
research for the James Cameron section was to last week get home, find that Emma wasn't home, and be like, "Well, I'm going to watch the latest Terminator film," having no idea it had nothing to do with James Cameron. Was just like, I have missed
milk that cow,
the
bro.
mark on the assignment. All right, well done, Tom. Anyway, let's turn this
and then-
up to 34 and wake the old neighbors.
So as far as I'm concerned, this is where James Cameron should have just fucking retired. Should have stuck with his fourth wife and
let's
just
not
stopped.
talk about Avatar.
Well, so after True Lies, he did Titanic, which I've seen. I didn't enjoy all that much, and yet it's his most awarded film. And he explored the Titanic shipwreck in a manner that no one else on Earth had ever tried to do. He invented submarine technology that we're still
Which
using today.
I think you've got to include just for that. That's fucking cool.
He invented the concept of drone submarines, so unmanned underwater vehicles.
Yeah.
Then he went on to do Dark Angel as a series. So he created it. He only directed one episode, but he was the kind of creative director with Charles H. Egley. And then Avatar. And then Avatar. And then Avatar.
Oh,
And then Avatar. And then Avatar. Like,
man, just kill
He won't
Avatar
get to them
already.
all, man.
he's pretty old.
Yeah, I love him. And
I think that's what you're trying to say. He's going to
yeah,
die before he
I
finishes.
think he's going to die before he gets to 5.
He did so many good movies in the 90s. He did iconic cult classic films. His magnum opus is such a steaming pile of shit. I don't get it.
No, okay, so I agree and I disagree. Okay, so you got to hear me out on this.
Sure.
So
So Dan, we're out of time anyway. Let's go.
Terminator. Okay, I'm going to talk from a technical aspect here. I'm not going to talk about anything else. So Terminator was a groundbreaking technical movie for its time. It introduced a certain amount of technical special effects and a very large amount of technical Marvel special effects.
So one of the things that
Aliens.
Well, let's just get into that just a little. Do you mind if I unpack that just a touch?
If we unpack
Or do you
it
wanna
too
get
far across all of the movies, we're not going to have enough
We'll
time.
never finish.
But,
I get it. But just one of the things that they had to invent, one of the technologies they had to invent to solve a problem in the Terminator that they talked a lot about in the behind the scenes was where Arnie jumps on top of Kyle Reese's car and puts his fist through the front windshield. They could not do that with the technology that was available at the time. They could not make that scene. They actually had to invent a pneumatic pump that looked like a fist, and they had to invent optic technology for the camera to make it look like it was actually Arnie punching through that windshield. One tiny little 1 second thing. They could have skipped that scene entirely and no one would have been the wiser. But instead, he pioneered technology to make that happen.
And it was crucial to the story to show the strength of the product, the robot, the Terminator, the cybernetic organism that was there.
Living tissue of a metal and or skeleton.
Exactly. And if it wasn't, then the impact might have been lacking across the board.
True.
Same with removing the eyeball It was Arnie, and then it was an artificial, the eyeball, and you saw the rubbing of the socket, all that sort of stuff.
Such a
there was
amazing scene.
The Terminator hand crawling along at the end, which was an animatronic hand. Go on, Adam Savage tested. He just looked at some real animatronic hands that were up for sale at propstore.com up for auction from the original Terminator movie. Had all the animatronics in there. So those sort of things are groundbreaking for that time. Then you move to Aliens. Aliens was a very groundbreaking move away from the space horror slow burn movie that it was. You had one man in a rubber suit. Now you have many men in a rubber suit crawling vertically through air shafts and everything like that. There was an enormous amount, mostly practical effects, and
almost all practical effects.
In camera practical effects happening in that movie.
He also he didn't so much pioneer technology, but he also did pioneer the sequences, the methodology of shooting some of those vertical sequences as well, that became very fundamental to a whole range of other cinematographers.
Then you roll into The Abyss, the first human-shaped, liquid-formed CGI character on screen.
And a test for the technology that rolled into T2.
And then
that's exactly
rolls into T2, which was absolutely groundbreaking in the T1000.
Polymagnetic alloy. Huh? Liquid metal.
The liquid metal and all of the special effects. I mean, you look at the behind the scenes of T2, it's still amazing today. You look at what they did.
SGI launched their brand on that movie. So Silicon Graphics Institute, SGI, was a supercomputer company for a long time, and like they talk about Craze in the movie, which was the other the major supercomputer company at the time. Mind you, this thing is about 10,000 times more powerful than
the Craze messages. Gotta zoom in all of that. See what's on there.
All of that Tinder action.
It's just me. Hey Pete, the hair looks good.
Sorry, that's on Grindr. Yeah, I mean, SGI, Silicon Graphics Institute workstations became the mainstay of movie-based CGI as a result of that movie, because he pushed them to write software to do what he needed the movie to fucking do.
Exactly, and they were working on ridiculous computers.
And it stands the test of time, mate.
Absolutely.
Ironically, the special effects in the trailer for Avatar 2 look less real than Terminator 2 in, the late 80s?
We'll get to Avatar 2 in a minute.
Sure.
You get to True Lies, and you have a spy movie.
It's a story-driven film.
It doesn't look anything Flash until they blow up an enormous-sized fucking bridge. It was an amazing... I do remember seeing the behind the scenes of that. I have no idea what it was, so I'm not going to speak out of turn about how amazing that blowing up of that bridge was.
But that Harrier jet's probably the first time we ever saw VTOL in a movie. Yep. So vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, which the F-22 is now quite famous for, and a bunch of others. But yeah.
Then you get Titanic.
Yep.
They had a huge amount of miniatures in play with large, when you say miniatures, you have to say that in quotation marks.
Because it was like a 9-foot fucking thing
it was fucking
in a pool.
And
they did a lot of pool work for that movie.
They broke in half and really, really broke it in half and sunk one half and then sunk the other half. And it's like a massive amount of groundbreaking stuff there with miniature work and all in-camera stuff as well.
It was just the storyline that was a letdown in Titanic. I mean, there was plenty of room on that fucking door for Leonardo to crawl on top, and they both could have survived. It was just bad writing, frankly. She was on a door. It's a 6-foot by 4.5-foot object. Come on. Anyway,
there was a lot of other flotsam and jetsam around the place that they could have
But
pumped
no,
to.
they needed the dramatic hand bubbling down. Like he just needed the thumbs up, like Arnie at T2.
Yeah. Tom's just sitting back.
No, because my favorite thing in Titanic is that the theme song by the wonderfully esteemed Celine Dion. One of the lines of the chorus is, "Once more you open the door." You don't open the door on a ship that's fucking sinking, you dumb Canadian. Fuck's sake.
The French Canadian. It's true, but she survived on that door, so it was set up.
I know nothing about Dark Angel other than I watched about 5 minutes about the whole time.
It was basically a Terminatrix test series, right? I don't know if she was cybernetic or if she was genetically enhanced.
Yeah,
No,
genetically enhanced, I think, though. I think they were all. It was Jessica Alba, yeah.
That launched her career.
Was it?
I don't remember.
Oh,
she was in one of those.
Yeah,
it is Jessica Alba. Okay, so we're on.
Yeah, it was
so because of the generational gap, Dan, that was Tom's sexual awakening. It's all links back to James
Jamie Lee
Cameron,
Curtis was my sexual awakening. Let me tell you.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
But then you get to Avatar. Avatar was a really ordinary story.
Avatar put me to sleep.
Yeah, a really ordinary story. But it was the first movie that reinvigorated 3D in cinema. Okay, cool.
I agree.
Yeah, it died off pretty quick again after that. But the difference between watching Avatar in 3D versus a lot of other movies was he filmed it for 3D. So when you see this ship at the start that had Sam Worthington in cryosleep in it, and it had depth. It wasn't shit coming out of the screen. It was shit at screen level and back. This ship had depth and it had character to it, and you would see things happen in I saw the 2D version first and then went and saw the 3D version, and you would take much more notice of things happening in the background of the 3D version because you weren't looking at a 2D screen. You were seeing things happen in the background and things develop through other characters in the environment and just the environment itself when you get to Pandora. And you would see that world for a world rather than a flat 2D image. And that alone, I mean, it was groundbreaking. Whether or not it continued on, and then there was a lot of CG stuff, like groundbreaking stuff there.
It was groundbreaking. Look, the audioscape, and I don't mean the soundtrack, the audioscape. If you go into any, and I can't say any. If you go into most cinema, like home theatre, serious home cinema suppliers in Sydney, and I've been into 5 or 6, their test movie for most of their speakers, including their subs, if you plan to drop $4,000 on one speaker on your subwoofer, it's Avatar that's playing. And it's the sequence where that big rhinoceros alien creature is stomping around and then attacks, because in terms of sub bass, it was groundbreakingly detailed, that audio track, and it separates at the risk of using a bad phrase, it separates the boys from the men when it comes to speaker technology. If you get a good quality speaker, it reproduces every single detail in that soundscape with clarity, whereas cheaper speakers, it just gets muddy and you kind of lose a lot of the detail and it struggles.
Yeah.
So the CGI itself, I've got to say, Avatar 1 was one of the best implementations of taking characters' real-life facial features, actors' real-life facial features, and putting them into computer-generated characters. It wasn't the first. I mean, you can go all the way back to Dragonheart, and you can actually see Sean Connery's facial features on the dragon. But as a character that exists completely in CGI and driving the story, it's probably the first and best example of that. The main protagonist was entirely not there.
Yes, and I agree with that. I 100% agree. I understand where David coming from a technical point of view, but when you just say driving the story, that story was
the story sucked ass.
The story sucked ass. So, like, what's the point? Is it just a tech demo, or is it actually a good film? Like, I think
unobtainium. Who the fuck? Who is so uninventive that they come up with a mineral called unobtainium?
Especially when you look at his back catalogue, when you look at the quality of the story that's in True
By the way,
Lies,
he didn't invent
T2.
it. I'm pretty sure that was in Deep Core. the movie Deep Core. But yeah.
Someone researched the history of unobtainium.
Wasn't it palladium? Wasn't the...
No, it was unobtainium.
Oh, God.
I don't remember because I saw it once in the cinema and I was like, technically,
I've seen it a couple of times and I bought it on 4K because
it's such a boring story. Like, and then it's like,
But it is a visual masterpiece.
Yeah,
This
but
is a
how
guy-
far does that get? It's like talking about a game, since like amazing graphics, but shit story. I'm not going to enjoy playing it all the way
Shit
through.
story, shit game.
I agree.
Yeah.
And look, the if you go back and look at the movies we've talked about from his directorial kind of lifespan,
100%, yeah.
he's
They're great.
always been let's push the technology to deliver the story. And it seems like as he hit his late 60s, he just forgot to write the story. He's still pushing the technology.
He's got his to-do list and he's like, push graphics.
He's clearly trying to
technology.
deliver.
Right story. Cool, forgot.
I get the impression he's trying to deliver a story that he believes is amazing, and he's pushing technology in order to deliver his magnum opus. I mean, this will be his end of life work, his masterpiece. Right? The guy's been a director his entire career.
I don't
and the
think it will
Avatar
be his
movies-
masterpiece. I don't.
No,
I
but
don't
that's
wanna
what his
call-
intent is.
I know it's his intent, but I don't think I really think someone needs to sit James Cameron down and be like, mate, Avatar is not your magnum opus. You need to rethink that statement. Like, just take a second.
As Ridley Scott wanted Prometheus to be his magnum opus, and it wasn't. Like there was like your Ridley
he
Scott's
walked
magnum
that
opus
back.
was fucking Blade Runner.
Yes. But Ridley Scott walked that statement back. And you know what? Ridley Scott recently did an article about the last two Alien movies, and he said he wanted to explore different themes in Prometheus, and the audience hated him for it. So he went back and just delivered another plain old boring Aliens movie in the last one, and everyone hated him for it. And his statement was essentially, I'm fucked either way. I tried to do something different. I wanted to push the boundaries on existential crisis in a true science fiction movie.
We can cover Ridley,
do a Ridley Scott
another
episode.
week. Let's
definitely
let's
should.
take Ridley Scott out of this conversation,
All right.
and we'll get back to that at some stage.
Put him in
guy-
the airlock and press boom. See you later.
So James Cameron, he certainly won plenty of awards, and that was my Excel sheet we were joking about at the start of
So
the episode.
wait a minute, we're not. But my very last point where I wanted to get to was Avatar 2 trailer. So the Corridor Crew guys just did a breakdown of the Avatar 2 trailer, and they found that Weta Studios, who are the Lord of the Rings people who are now doing the special effects for Avatar 2, have put in like a huge amount of new patents for CGI technology, mostly around water-based CGI technology. So it's really, really interesting. I know we can't show it on the YouTube, but go and watch the Corridor Crew, the most recent one. Pete, maybe you can flag it in the comments.
I can pull out. I can do that. I will do that, but I'll also pull out some of the visuals from the Corridor Digital video, and I'll throw it up on our YouTube.
They talk about one scene in the Avatar 2 trailer, and it's a 2-second scene where the Jake character, the Sam Worthington character, it's focusing in on his hands while he's riding the water dragon, and he tightens a leather strap, and it's all CGI, but it looks like physical, like it was partly physical and partly water, partly CGI, but it was all CGI. And they actually look at the patents that they've played, and they can line the new patent for the CGI water up with
each element in that sequence,
to the elements in that sequence, and it's really interesting to look at that 2-second sequence. They talk for about 10 minutes on this one.
I'm not
2-second
surprised.
sequence. So it's super interesting. And he's like, if you're getting wetter, like this is wetter, like they are like the
world class,
the world class, and I mean they're up there with Lucas's IG. Industrial Light and Sound.
ILM, yeah.
ILM, there we go.
Industrial Light and Magic.
And Light
IG88. Yep, that was
yeah,
IG88.
yeah, there was
I thought it
so
was
many of
IGA,
those
the
things
grocery
running
store.
around in my head. I couldn't work out which ones they were.
Yeah,
Industrial Light and Magic. Skywalker Sound is the sound side of it.
Yeah.
So they're up there with ILM, like Weather
or
and
Pixar,
ILM.
or yeah.
I don't think Pixar stands like even in comparison. Like different levels of thing. Pixar have their own style, but ILM and Weta are the like
in terms of photorealism,
the realism
right?
side of it.
In terms of the companies that have driven the CGI technology to a point that allows photorealism,
You
Pixar
go back
have absolutely
and watch
contributed.
Monsters Inc. and you look at Sully's fur and tell me that
Yeah.
Pixar are not on the edge.
Pixar invented the hair technology that they use now for
Yeah.
photorealism. So the concept of literally in the app, in Maya Studio, you create the hair texture and they give you a comb tool and you comb the hair to set the texture of the fur. Pixar invented that. So
Does
they've
the song
all
play in the
contributed.
background? The
I'm going to get my fourth beer. I'll be right back.
He sets him up and going to knock him
yes.
down.
Yeah, and he just walks away from him, man. He just
that's fair enough.
That's what he thought of your setup. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I actually do want to say something about James Cameron, which I really want Pete to hear because I think Pete's potentially gonna pop an eye out. Like, I don't think he's going to agree with me, but actually, I might be.
What am I going to disagree with you about, motherfucker?
Quick. No. I wanted you to be here for it. I really think James Cameron, and I obviously respect James Cameron. I think he's a brilliant director, but I think unfortunately he is the king of having his IPs bastardized. He has, like, if you look at, especially look at Terminator, you look at the way they've really, especially in there's like that middle patch. What was it, Salvation? And
Salvation was good, man. I like Salvation.
But some of them, like Dark Fate, was great. I very much
three
enjoyed
is
it.
terrible. Three is terrible.
Yeah.
I like Salvation.
But I feel like some
Salvation?
people like to take his IPs, or maybe not his IPs, but stuff that he's been involved in.
Let's be clear, he makes money out of all this shit.
Yeah, but they
he just likes money, man.
I mean, he's in Hollywood. That makes sense. But like, he's the king of unfortunately being bastardized by other people taking his shit and just going like, "Oh, we can do it as well as James Cameron did back in the '80s," and then they
can't.
No.
And they can't. But what made those movies stand out was not the technology. He pushed the technology to tell the story he needed to tell, and they were good stories. That's why he was the director that James Cameron used to be.
Until he got to Titanic.
Until he got to Titanic.
Then it was
Titanic was a shit story, good technology, and Avatar is a repetition of that same concept. Yeah. In terms of awards, though, that tells a very different story, and I think the awards are irrelevant.
I think you say this, and I think we really need to look up at what other movies Titanic was up against in that year.
You also need to put in context, how do you win an Academy Award or an Oscar? You spend the most money advertising to the Academy. It's a politician's game. But if you
Samuel
look at
Jackson had the best comment the other day on that, where he came out and he said, "I'd rather be fucking playing Mace Windu and Samuel and Nick Fury than winning fucking Oscars. That's not what I want my career to be about."
I'm disappointed that I would love to see more Mace Windu, and I'm so disappointed that we almost certainly will never see any more Mace Windu live action. And I'm one of the few people that read Shatterpoint when it first came out.
Shatterpoint was so good.
And they've recently canonized it. They recently canonized it in
Plus series.
Was it Rebels or Bad Batch? But Palpatine mentioned that Mace Windu was always going on about his Shatterpoints.
It was the end of, I think it was the end of the Clone Wars, the last season.
Right.
The unfinished season, yeah.
So they had a book that was relegated to the Legends kind of non-canonical series, and they dragged it into canon through that one line.
So good.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That was where they introduced the concept of the Terrar Kazi martial art form exclusively for Jedi. The Shatterpoint special power that he had, that was what made him different and unique. He tapped into
Mace
a power.
Windu's form of lightsaber was Vapad, which is Form 7, which is the one that teeters on the edge of the dark side. And then the Shatterpoints, he could see through the Force points that would go either way, and
the divergent paths of the Force. He walked the path of between dark and light. He was he wasn't quite a grey Jedi, but he was. Yeah, we're on talking about Mace Windu. Welcome back to the story. I don't know how we got here.
What the fuck?
No. I know exactly how we got there because I can trace the Shatterpoint. Hey. No, we're talking about awards, and I said that Samuel Jackson recently just came out and said that he doesn't care about winning Oscars now. He just wants to go play characters like Nick Fury and Mace Windu. And then we were like, how good would a fucking Shatterpoint Disney Plus series be?
How good would a Mace Windu live action
Yeah.
reprisal be. I am going to upgrade my 2.5 review on Dainton to a 3. The smoke did withdraw from the palate, and there were starting to get notes of honeycomb. But I did not expect smoke to be in that beer at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why they're getting 3, not anything higher. Shame. Before we talk about awards, should we talk about our 4th beer, or do you want to just get through this award shit? All right, let's just close out this topic. So, Oscars. The movies that we've talked about, because it's certainly not his entire list. We didn't talk about all 26 movies that he directed. But the ones that we did talk about are the ones that he won all the awards for. Aliens, 2 Oscars, 1 BAFTA. The Abyss, an Oscar. T2, 4 Oscars, 2 BAFTAs. True Lies, 1 no. He got a Golden Globe. That's it. Nothing. And Titanic. And this is why I put this up, right? This is really interesting. Titanic was where his career shifted for us in terms of it's no longer about telling a good story through cinematography technology. It's now just about the tech and a shit story. But he won 11 Oscars. He was nominated for 14. He won 11 Oscars for Titanic. He was nominated for 10 BAFTAs, 8 Golden Globes, and he won 4.
Yeah. That
was the biggest haul he ever had in terms of awards. And then Avatar, he won 3 Oscars, 2 BAFTAs, and 2 Golden Globes. But in terms of career, it'd be interesting to pit those awards against some of the other directors that we've talked about. Well, I mean, all that we will talk about. Ridley Scott, Spielberg, we need to cover. Anyway.
I guarantee Ridley Scott's won fuck all.
Because he's not
for those playing at home as well. Titanic won 11 Oscars, which is the same as Ben-Hur and Return of the King, the greatest film of all time.
There's only one return of.
I don't need to put in the prefix. You all fucking know what I'm talking about.
Samwise Gamgee literally comes up and bricks on Frodo's chest.
Gondor forever.
Yeah.
Clerks 2 is still one of my all-time favorite fucking movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway. Anything else to add on James Cameron? No? Okay. 4th beers? Dan's lost his lights. That's okay. You've actually got skin tone without the one on, so it's all good.
Color there. Yeah, I've got the run sheet open there, and it's giving me enough. So
it's perfect.
If I close that down, it's not enough.
No, I am drinking a 3-way collaboration between.
We've all been there, Tom.
You dirty dog. I am drinking Nicki, which is a collaboration between Mountain Culture, Banks Brewing, and Range. So New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland. It is,
of course... bracket in the middle?
No,
Banks. Did you say brackets? Banks. Sorry, my mistake.
You're right.
It's not Mr. Banks. It's Banks.
They've rebranded. They've dropped the Mr.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. They had to.
Yep. So, classically, you can tell this has been written by Mountain Culture. They are very technical in the first 2 paragraphs, but then in the third one, it's instead of it's the crossed out Nicki Menage a Trois of 2022. And that's all you need to say. And you know that DJ's gotten in there and gone, oh, this would be fucking
I'm going to fuck with this shit.
Yeah. So yes, it is a oat cream IPA. So they used Vic's Secret and Citra. It's the classic hot bomb. There's obviously so much in it. I've no
Jesus.
Oh, good God.
So here's my my daily 5
haze protein in a spoon.
Surprisingly, not as oat creamy as I was dreading, and I didn't want that super sweet. It's actually got a little bit of bitterness at the back, which is surprising. It's 7.7%.
A little bit of what? Sorry,
bitterness coming through.
Bitterness.
Yeah, but bitter orange juice. They said they've added fresh passion fruit, mango, and guava, but it's I'm getting a little. Almost blood orangey, like Campari or Aperol spritzy, kind of that kind of bitterness, that bitter orange kind of flavor, which I personally love. But yeah, it's what you expect when you look at the can, when you see those three breweries on it and you see the style is oat cream IPA. It's going to be, they're at the top of the class for the Australian breweries trying to compete in those styles. So a lot better than the 11-way collaboration they did after the Mountain Culture Smoke Fest. They did a beer called Jeffrey's, which was, they got all 11 breweries who were involved and they all had to pick one ingredient. And it was confusing. It was unbalanced. It was just like,
oh, of course.
It was like, as you expected, it was just too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
This is nice. This is pleasant. Like the booze is hidden. Like it doesn't have that boozy burn of the 7.7%, which is a danger, especially for my early wake up tomorrow. But that's fine. It's definitely one that I'll happily sit on. And, you know, once we finish this, I will go and watch Obi-Wan and scream at the TV. And, yeah, it's good. Good. It's just, it's if you want like a really super sweet oat cream IPA, go something different from Mountain Culture. If you want something that has a little bit of, it's more neeper in terms of that, like does have that actual bitterness coming through and like a bit of that softness, pick it up if you see it. Anyway, I will give it 4 pixels out of pints.
Cool. Dan?
I don't know if I want to talk about mine. Mine's quite oxidized and aged and, yeah, not pleasant.
Skip it?
Skip it.
Okay.
I don't need to badmouth people.
I'm worried that my
Need to
previous
know
statement
intensifies.
Sorry?
Would you like to know more? Yes. You can tell us off air.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't see with your
Could be a
crappy lights.
Hawker's. Could be a Hawker's Brewing. Or Hawker's Beer, rather. I don't know. So my fourth and final, definitely final, is the Surrender to the Void Chocanana Cardo.
I've got that in my fridge, but it was way too alcoholic for me to.
The new one. Is that the new one?
I can't even find it on Untapped, so I suspect so.
So I've done a couple
Cardo.
of Surrender to the Voids, and they are always huge.
Yeah, the one I've got's like 11%.
I can't find it on Untapped. Yeah, this is
What flavors
11
is it again, Peter?
11.5%.
Yeah.
4 standard drinks in a can. Chocanana Cardo. So chocolate, banana, and avocado, I presume.
Oh. Yeah, that is the one I've got, yeah.
Outrageously decadent pitch black stout brewed using an enormous complex malt bill and mounds of debaucherous adjuncts. What's the Void up to this time? Old bananas. That's nice. Goodness, that's quite a lot of chocolate. Are you sure that's sensible? Hang on. What's that? Avocado? This time you really have gone too far. Turn off your mind, relax, and float downstream. With 4 standard drinks in a can that size, you really are going to be turning off your fucking mind. What I was going to say is I am worried about... Yeah, I did too, actually. Thanks. But it's not been written by Garage Project, clearly, because the description is just chocolate, banana, and avocado stout. So it's some punter has typed it in.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of pitch, a lot of smoke out of this one too. And I'm worried that maybe my palate's just broken. I would love...
I don't think it's obviously your palate or your brain. And
my brain's been broken a long time. No, that's not it, Dan. That's definitely not it. You arsehole.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it.
Lots of chocolate.
It's a one-track mind. It's either vagina or cigarettes.
No, there's plenty of smoke in this one. You just can't tell. It doesn't say it on the can.
Fuck y'all. I don't get any banana.
An appropriate level of silence.
I'm just ignoring you fucks. It's thick, it's sweet, it's chocolatey. I don't get any banana. I certainly don't get any avocado. I didn't expect to. But it's almost bourbony. So when I say smoke and pitch, what I'm talking about is the aspect of Scotch that they call pitch. That really smoky style, like that smoky additive to some Scotches. That's what I'm getting out of it. It's not unpleasant like
Pete.
it was.
Pete.
Sorry, not pitch. Thank you. That is what I
Pitch
was
is what
trying
they throw off castles onto unsuspecting Englishmen when they told them they
to-
already
Never did
have
that.
one.
Never did that. There was never any boiling oil. There was never any boiling pitch. I actually watched a one of those insider movies the other day on Facebook, probably.
Yeah.
Where the traditional siege warfare experts, like historians, rate the accuracy of movies. They do it with sword fights and spear fights.
Yeah,
and
I've seen a bunch of them.
it's a whole series.
They're
Actually
fun. They're fun to
fascinating.
watch. Yeah.
And the guy comes up to, and they were doing siege warfare, and he's like, "Yeah, that was never a tactic on the battlefield. Sorry. Why would I boil oil, a fuel, and then pour it on people when I can be just as effective just pouring boiling water? Like, who came up with that shit for
I'm sorry,
Hollywood?
was he there? Then no. Shut up, Facebook man.
Facebook man. I'm enjoying this one though. It is peaty, but it's not unpleasantly so, and it's adding to the flavor rather than completely cancelling the honeycomb like it did in the last one. So I'm going to give that 4 because the last thing I want to taste right now is smoking. It is a double or an imperial stout at 11.5%, so this will be the end of my night as I get through it.
Somebody stop me.
Somebody stop me. Yes. Enjoyable. That's a great movie. I haven't seen The Mask in a long time. Let's get into... We're on the back straight. We're definitely playing the last couple of holes now, right?
We're definitely almost done. I think we've got one more topic in us.
Are you winning, son?
No, you're winning, son.
And for Dan's notes, I just wrote Doom Internal.
Doom internal.
Internal.
Doom internal. It's a proctologist.
I wrote that when I was
nightmare.
dead. I read...
Also, probably if
It's
you...
Blueberry's Claw.
It's like that image I sent you. Was it a Doom level or lasagna? It's like you could probably send that to a proctologist and they'd be like,
no. Someone's calling.
Wow.
Rip and tear, baby. Rip and tear.
Rip and tear. Yes.
Hence
Doom
the Blueberry
Eternal.
reference.
Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal.
Here's a
Doom
video
Eternal.
game
Yes. Doom
that
Eternal.
Dan
It's
has
a massive
played.
disappointment.
Yes. Doom Eternal definitely suffers from sequel syndrome. It is an enjoyable game, but it is not a sequel to 2016 Doom. It very loosely follows the original 2016 storyline, with the Doom Slayer having been awoken. It follows none of the same gameplay element lines. They throw a whole bunch of extra movement mechanical shit at you. So in the first game, you had your fucking gun and you had your finisher.
It's never been a complicated equation, this Doom
Well,
series.
that's it. You had your grenades, which were an addition from the original Doom. And there was a few other little bits and pieces. You had your double jumps and bits and pieces like that were never available in the early Doom. In Doom Eternal, within the first level or two, you are bombarded with the double jump, the dash, the grenade launcher that has multiple
types of grenades.
grenades to it. You are the flamethrower, the blood punch, which is a boosted melee attack, 3 different weapons. Then you have elements in the world that are climbable surfaces, swingable surfaces, dashable, double dash to grab a bonus, and then double dash continued on from that double dash.
You've already lost me.
areas. That's exactly it, and that's exactly what it feels like. And then you're introduced to the Doom Fortress, which is your hub world that has the oh god, you know what? I can't even remember how many different types of elements there are in there to unlock the immense amount of shit that is in this game. And it all is you're running
They
along.
tried to add RPG elements to it with a little hub where you can put trophies from your awards.
Yeah, it's a hub world. There's trophies, but you within the worlds you grab this. I can't even remember what it's called. That's how much I fucking care. You grab these glass canisters that have an energy form in them that you could take back to the Doom Fortress, and you lock it in, and you open an extra weapon upgrade, or you open a new suit, or you open a new this, or you get a fucking weapon upgrade token, or you get this. There's one of those games where you're running along in the first few levels, and then all of a sudden you'll come to a dead stop so they can pop a fucking tutorial screen up on you. So just completely break your flow. And like, I'm reading them, like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me on this, because this is like the 5th upgrade token thing that you tell me I need, that I can either do 3 bloody challenge things within a mission to get one thing, or I can do 1 to get one other thing. Like, it's like none of this makes any coherent sense. As where the first game was, you woke up as the Doomslayer. You woke up, you fucking grabbed your gun, you grabbed your suit, you fucking went out. And then there was people talking.
It's a twitch shooter that never required thinking.
They talk.
Why fuck with a formula?
They were talking to you over radio. The story was simple but cohesive. You would go through a level. You would find a canister that had Argent energy in it. You would grab it in your hand and you would squeeze the glass canister and shatter it. And then the upgrade screen had come up, and you'd pick the upgrade out of a couple of simple upgrades you wanted. You'd get back into it and you'd go. You'd find a little robot that had a little canister on the bottom of it, and you'd chase the robot and you'd get to it, and he'd fucking grab the canister, he'd rip it off, and he'd like punch the robot away. And that was your weapon upgrade. You had a couple of different weapon upgrades that you could do, and then you would go from there. This has so much unnecessarily unwanted complexity to the whole thing. And on top of that, they've taken away, once again, it's an enjoyable game. It's an enjoyable Twitch shooter. It's a different element to the Doom that they built. But someone's gone, oh, well, let's take 2016 Doom and let's add more of the old elements to it with the little blue glass flasks in it for health and things like that. And let's add some extra little like 8-bit things off to the wall that's a little secret that you go down this way and you find there's a little Doom. And there's so much crap jammed in there that it loses the fantastic elements that they got with 2016.
Simplicity? Yeah.
The simplicity, and there's also the simplicity to it was the removal of everything that they've just now put in. But also they've lost that. I was talking to one of the other guys about this, was the chunkiness to it. Like they've tamed everything down like it was offensive to people. Like there's no punching the upgrade robot away. It's like he takes the box off and the fucking robot just flies off now. And it's like you get your upgrade crystals now, like you tear them out of their stand, but he doesn't grab it and shatter it like he did in the first one. It's like the first one, you would walk into a room and you were the biggest badass in that fucking room. It's like you just like a fucking little limp fucking noodle now. It's like they've taken out those elements. Like there's no attitude
anymore.
There's not. Like
interesting.
You get to that point. Is it?
They dropped some stuff. They dropped one of the Bethesda studios from it. So Doom 2016 was ID Software, Panic Button Games, and Bethesda Austin, and then they dropped Bethesda Austin for Doom Eternal. There might have been someone there being like, you sometimes have that one person who's there who just keeps you on that path, and if you lose that one person, it's just like. You have someone who comes in and just goes, "Oh, just keep adding shit." Like people love when you add shit. Like, yeah, just that's also the soundtrack's not as good. I was just listening to it in the background.
No, the soundtrack's still very good, but it's not as
good.
Chunky.
It's not as good.
The entire chunky aspect of the whole game is gone, and it's like even down to like when you get your ammo upgrades or your ammo drops from enemies or whatever. It's this big, colourful, like almost pokey, like confetti spill. And they're all different colours when they come out. And you chainsaw enemies to get these drops. And it goes out and they're all different colours. In 2016, they were all the same colour. Like it goes out, and it made a difference because the orange color fit in with the color palette of the world. Like nothing stood out. Like it all was a cohesive element in the story and everything they were trying to tell. And I think going to Doom Eternal, thought very, very highly of 2016 Doom. And like now going to Doom Eternal, I think even more highly of 2016 Doom, into the point where I think it is probably one of the best games that's been released in the last decade. Like, I think it was an absolute masterpiece of a
simplicity.
Yeah, a re-envisioning of an original first-person shooter into the modern world. It was an absolute flawless piece of computer game art, where Doom Eternal is a very flawed sequel. It was like the bastardization of James Cameron's masterpieces.
We let the millennials into the development studio and just run riot.
Yeah,
we need more. Add more stuff.
It was a really, really big disappointment, and it seems it's actually passed to that. I don't want to say camp, because it's not camp. It's passed to that farcical side of things where the creatures are talking to the Doomslayer, and he's walking around, and it is a piss take in itself. Yeah,
the creatures are talking to the Doomslayer.
Yeah, so there's well, I mean, they did in the first one too, but like there's you're hunting down these hell priests at the start of Eternal. And I've just gotten to a level, and this hell priest has said this comical line to me. It was like, haha, you think you can come and get me? Well, here's a fucking citadel that you're not going to get through. And like that was how it was. It was almost delivered to you like an old Bela Lugosi Dracula movie. It was like, and the window opens up, and here's this citadel, and you're going to walk in there with a fucking shotgun and take everybody out. And it's like, yeah, it's. I will continue to play it because I can look past those elements, and as long as that like over bloated upgrade system of everything doesn't hinder me moving on with the game, as long as that doesn't hinder me, I will continue to play it. But if I get to a point where that hinders me, you know what? I'm gonna fucking delete it and go and play 2016 again.
Yeah, wow.
So yes, am I winning? Kinda.
Tom,
you're on
are
the
you
fence.
winning?
Actually,
you know what?
You should go first.
Let me go first, because I don't want to end the show on a low note. So no, I'm not winning at all. Is the answer. I've hardly touched my PlayStation 5 in the last 2 weeks. I've been editing videos. I've played some Iki Island from the Ghost of Tsushima expansion. Echoing exactly what Dan said a couple of eps ago. It is a lot more spiritual, a lot more psychological, a lot more mythological, because someone's fucking with your head. I'm avoiding spoilers, but it still sits within the same, like it's still rooted in reality. And I know, Tom, you've played it all through, and I know Dan knows what I'm talking about. So it's the listeners I'm trying to not spoil it for.
No, I actually haven't played Iki Island yet.
Okay. It's still rooted in the same base reality. It's not over the top. It's not like Assassin's Creed where you get transported to the fucking afterlife in Egypt and suddenly like mythological gods are real. Yeah. It's not that. It's still rooted in reality, but it is more spiritual. But it still fits perfectly into the overall ethos of Japanese and Mongolian culture, which I'm finding interesting. There's a few more mechanics I've added because I had to add something. So now your horse can charge through bad guys. There's a power up. There's a whole skill tree for it. But yeah, it's more of the same. But I've reached with Ghosts. I've reached the same thing I reach with so many games that I thoroughly enjoy. I don't know if DLC fatigue is the right word, but when you play an entire like open world game through to platinum, and then there's a DLC waiting for you. You start the DLC, and I'm burnt out by that stage. I need to take a break.
That was me with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's 100% DLC fatigue. It's game fatigue, story world, world fatigue even. Yeah.
I mean,
No,
if they
no,
dropped
100%.
a Horizon, Forbidden West DLC right now, I'd probably enough time might have passed, but I couldn't have played that back to back.
No, they dropped a new game plus instead and a different difficulty.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't do the whole new game plus thing. Same old game, just harder. Doesn't really tickle my pickle. So kind of, sort of winning. Son?
Yeah.
Tom, are you winning, son?
Oh, am I winning?
Are you,
Oh, boys, am I
are you
winning?
winning?
So I have, since we last recorded, I have platinum 2 games and finished the story of a third because I went full beast mode. So I when we last recorded, I was just getting into Biomutant. I finished that off. That was, look, it got repetitive. You can tell it was a small studio. It was a very interesting game in terms of its visuals.
Was it indie?
It may have been. I don't think it was a big
Yeah.
studio. It was a gorgeous game. Like the world was gorgeous, very brightly colored. But also at some certain times, like they saturated it depend on like the certain negative element you were going to. I like warning for anyone who's thinking about playing this game. Looking at you, Easy Eduardo. If you don't agree that companies are killing the planet, do not play this game because you will not agree with the entirety of this story whatsoever. It is one of the most, like, lack of a better term, ecological warrior games I've ever played. They just talk like the whole story is about how corporations are killing the planet.
Is it too much though? Because you can make a point and the point be
They
valid, or you can
do-
push it too far.
It does, by
Or
the end
gets
of
a
it,
little
it
bit
was
echo
just like,
chambery.
so the only way it got echo chambery for me, and I did say, I think I told you guys I had to turn this off, is you have this narrator who comments on the world the whole time. But he comments randomly just as you're running around. Like he tells you that it's, the day has broken. And it's like, okay, shut up. Like you can turn down how frequently he comments, and I turned it right down.
Right.
I did get pretty sick of it. Even like Emma loves to sit and watch while I play games, and she got really sick of him really quickly. He has a very
had the same-
condescending tone, like this dude,
Yeah,
and it's
okay.
just,
I got to say that we never talked about this, but I had the same problem with fucking Horizon. The amount of times where you're wandering through the world, you're faced with a puzzle, you know what you've got to do, it's immediately obvious, and then she talks to herself and she
Yep.
tells you what you need to do. Or it's like, I know, listen, sweet. That would have been condescending. I'm like, listen.
oh, way to catch yourself, Peter.
There needs to
Listen.
be a big, like, blank gap there. Just mouths moving.
It's just,
No, we should just put in the picture of the coyote stepping off the cliff and then just coming back.
I
I
it's
know what
like,
you mean,
don't
though.
fucking
No.
ruin it for me, man. I know
It's
what
when
I'm
a
doing.
character
All
model
right, thank
continually
you, Captain
speaks
Obvious.
to you. Yeah, they do the Captain Obvious because they don't think you're in. Yeah, no.
Oh,
I
look,
get
it started to rain. No shit, Sherlock. I can hear the
Yeah.
pitter patter, and it's on my fucking TV.
that. Yeah.
Tell
Oh,
me it's
this
raining.
This dude, the narrator, tells you that every single change in the weather. Oh, the day is breaking, and it's just like, okay, mate. Okay, you're getting turned right
Yeah.
down, but you do have the option to turn him down. Also, I found very annoying very quickly is that you have so all the characters speak in like a gibberish language, but in parts where you have dialogue things, which I skipped through the dialogue so quickly because I got so sick of it, and I had to turn this option off very quickly in the game, was that they would speak the gibberish and then he would read what they said, but there'd be a gap between them. So it was like a double thing for like a forced interaction conversation. And I turned that shit off as quickly as I could. I was just like, nah, that's infuriating. If I just had an option of like letting the little characters speak English and like talk, like it wasn't that you could put in any language. It was just gibberish. It was just like, it's like, okay, cool, that's great. But I get you didn't want to pay voice actors to do all your characters, but at least put something in. Like, yeah. So that got frustrating. But it was a really cool blend in terms of its style of like world building, character building, that it was like very much you had the like real samurai elements. Very different from like Ghosts in that you could pick a Like you could pick a character class, but you didn't have options to be like the honorable samurai or like the assassin kind of thing.
Well, you don't have fucking options in Ghosts either, and that drives me nuts to this day. I've finished the story, I've platinumed the game, it still bugs me. Especially with Dan. Like, even if you hadn't thrown down the gauntlet
Let him go.
for the standoffs. Yeah, no, shut up. That was a shut up to me. I'm going to shut up. Carry on. I'm gonna keep drinking my 4 standard drinks in a can. Fuck y'all.
But yeah, it's like the soundtrack's beautiful. It's a very vibrant world. It's the monster design, animal design. It's all like you're all like little woodland creatures that have evolved due to radiation. But like classic quest. But there's so many fetch quests. Every guy you speak to is
you said that on chat.
Yeah, you've got to go collect X from over here, and it's like 200
Kill
meters
11
away.
rats.
Yeah, and you got to run to that. So that got really tiring quickly. But it was a fun game. The mix of swordplay and gunplay, and you can jump between the two like seamlessly. That was really cool, which they call their wung fu. And like you would build up special attacks, but then eventually your weapons got so powerful that your special attacks were less effective than your just basic attacks. So I ended up making a machine gun, like because you can craft, and I crafted a machine gun so powerful that I never had to use my special attack because it was so radiated that it just demolished people. Yeah, it was just all right. Well, I guess I got the BFG. Here we go. So I finished that. That was great. It's an RPG. It's a nice fun RPG. It's like a nice bright RPG. If like we're all used to Skyrim, we're used to those dark like Fallout where it's especially in a radiated world where everything's kind of grey. This was vibrant greens, vibrant blues, a lot of purple, red. It's good bright fun, and it's good fun. I do recommend it. Then I went on back to Sackboy. Oh, the Sackboy. Oh, sack me, Sackboy.
But you've already finished everything other than this one last trophy, though, right?
No. So I bought Sackboy. It's the PS5 game, Sackboy Great Adventure. It's a platformer. I bought it at launch. It was one of the 3 games.
It was a launch title.
Yeah, it was one of the 3 games I picked up when I got my PS5, and I played it. I've played it on and off over the last 2 years. We get to a certain point, get frustrated, put it down, be like, fuck it, I'll come back to this later. It was one of those games you could pick up, put down, you just got to remember to roll, jump, and do whatever. But it's all about timing, it's all about human error, and it's all about really just putting a mirror up to yourself and reminding you how shit you are at every game you thought you were good at. Especially when I got to the what they call the Rip Snorter. So the Rip Snorter is there are 15 challenge levels you can find in the game. You have to find a little kind of floating Rubik's Cube in mid-level. So as you're running around, you'll see one. You jump up, you grab it for 200 points. And then it opens the level, which is a challenge. And they can be, you're jumping over lasers, you're jumping over spikes, whatever. There's 15 of them. Most of them you have to do to get the gold rating, which you want, is like under 30 seconds. And it's just like, they're challenging, but it's...
But
one of
it's
those things you have 2 hits or 1 fall, or 1 hit, 1 fall. Like they're your options. And then you have to restart. 30 seconds, you're like, oh, whatever, I'll just keep doing it. It's fine. Then you get to the Rip Snorter, which is the culmination of all previous 15 levels, and they put them in one giant fuck-off level.
It's a giant fuck-off level, too.
A giant fuck-off level. And you have the gold is 10 minutes, the silver was 15, and the bronze was 20. But one of the last trophies you will get if you play this game, and they call this trophy, which I thought was humorous, they call it the Plat Breaker, because it's the one trophy that people will just give up on, and they'll walk away and be like, fuck it, it's not worth it.
I don't need the plat.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I don't have that walk away ability. I've developed this bug inside me. 113 attempts, people. 113 attempts. Some of them up to 8 minutes into it, and then I would just miss a jump and fall, and it's always all my fault. And that sound of like, but just my hands on the controller gripping,
contracting
like,
the plastic.
Feel the plastic going underneath,
just flexing in your
And I went through and like I had to play a bunch of levels 2 controllers by myself because there's a bunch of multiplayer trophies, but you can play it one person with 2 controllers. And I was doing that, like using like holding controllers like this to hold the R button to jump and then like grab people. That was easier. Using 2 controllers and doing this one level by myself. Anyway, yesterday, after 113 attempts, I finally got, because you know when you get to the last bit, and like I watched the video on it, eventually I was like, nah, let's just watch the video, see how far I'm getting, how close I am. Yeah. Watch one and I was like, I'm 2 levels away from getting it. That's how close I've gotten. And when I knew it was in the last bit, because you're on a timer as well, so it's like you can't stop and celebrate. You know you have to get through this last bit. But there's all these little time pickups, which are like, cool, I know I can get this. And it was that literal, it's like someone just dumped a bucket of cold water on me. And it was just this relief just went all the way down. Like, I think I lost all color in my face, but I screamed, fuck yeah. Jasper was asleep. He jumped up and was like, is there someone at the door? Started barking. And I was like, no, calm down. I've got this. Shut up. We're doing it. Finally did it. Got the plat. Went to press the save record button and my PS5 like freaked out and couldn't do it because it was like, I'm sick of seeing
you didn't
these...
freak out while you were in the home stretch. You would have.
Yeah.
That's how you end up with controllers embedded in TV screens.
Oh, I was pretty close. But actually the hardest thing was, and I don't know if you guys noticed it because I sent a video of someone who did a speed run of it. One of the hardest thing was there's one little bit. And there were like 5 or 6 rows of dudes running down. And they're like red and green and blue guys. And they've got little wings. It almost induced an epileptic fit in me because they start rainbowing on the PS5 and they make this like shiny rainbow that's constantly and it's like at that speed. And I was just like, one time I was playing and I was like, hang on. Like, you know, when they put that warning screen up, like if you're sensitive to like, you know, flashing lights and stuff, it was like that. Yeah. Like, it's not safe. These people need to think about what they're putting out there.
The bouncy level, which was quite near the start, to be honest, and it comes back towards the end, where you've got the bouncy plates and the rocket things all coming out of the wall at the same time.
The purple rocket spiral things.
That looked difficult to me. You know what
that was actually one of the easiest. The easiest bit is actually, which most people said they had the hardest with. The bit I found the easiest is you're running along a bunch of platforms and they shake and then shift. So they can throw you off.
You got the little wobble warning.
I fucking nailed it. I was just like, bam, bam, bam.
Just jump and then center.
Spikes coming up through the platform.
Yeah. Spikes was really hard.
Was nailing him, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the alternating laser spikes towards the end.
Oh,
like every pad that has the laser doesn't for the next. And yeah.
Tom's got PTSD.
I really do. If I hear that song again ever, I will,
obviously
I will start punching people.
Obviously, your challenge was far more difficult than the one I'm going to mention, but it reminded me when you sent the speed run video, it reminded me of the challenge that you needed to pass to get the platinum for the original Gotham game, where it was like you have to have an 80 hit unbroken sequence.
I know the one. Yeah,
and some of those levels,
the free flow trophies. Yep.
Yeah, some of those were fucking difficult because the ground would change underneath you and punch you from like you'd be fighting your opponent and the ground would end up hitting you.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. It was just an exercise in fucking frustration.
But yes, so 113 attempts, and then I would say a good 30 of them were only like I could get like 3 minutes in and then I'd fail it because it's all just becomes about like learning it.
Muscle
memory. You have
memory.
to learn it as you go, but you only get that 2 chances. Like, yeah, and so I did it in 9:55 and then some fucking freak has done it in 3 minutes 50. And I'm like, what is actually wrong with you? That's better
that video you sent us is not 3 minutes 50.
It's got to be close.
No, it was more like 6.5 minutes was the timer after all of the minus time pickups he got, but the video is about 10 minutes long.
No, it's 3. Oh, no, I can tell you. I'll take you a photo of the PlayStation. It's actually got his speed recorded. It's 3 minutes 50.
No, you sent it to us. I've got the video.
Yeah. No. But that's the thing. You get all these countdown timers at the end, which can wipe like a minute or 2 off your time. But
so his run was 8 minutes 13, or 8.5 minutes was the run.
Yep.
His time score, because the score is different, was just under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
which is what you're referring to. It's the score, not the amount of time it took.
That's
him
what
to
you
do the
need.
run.
That's what you need. You need
Yeah,
the
I get
time
it.
down
I get
because
it.
you're on a timer. You got to beat 10 minutes. So my actual time was like 12 minutes, but because of all the pickups, I got under 10.
Yeah,
By
right.
5 fucking. If I'd
One
finished
mistake.
it and had been over 10 minutes, that's when a controller would have gone through the wall. Like,
But
yeah.
you were winning. You were winning.
I did
That's
win.
the main thing.
And then I got to play a very, very fun game, which I recommend to everyone. Untitled Goose Game. You literally play a game where you're like just a dickhead goose running around, and like you're pulling people's washing off the line and then throwing it in a pond for no reason. No reason other than you're just dickhead.
It's just a
goose.
harassment game, basically.
There's 4 levels.
Yeah, it's a harassment game. Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's so cathartic, especially working in the hospitality industry.
Is it a PlayStation game or is it a Steam game?
Universal game. It's on all platforms. It's it's a little studio. It's almost like cell shaded art. And you have a dedicated honk button, so you can honk as the goose. And I stood there for a minute just honking at a dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
just to fuck with him.
Really picking on him. Yeah.
I'm going to end this episode now.
By honking.
By asking you guys to recommend a game for me to play next. I need a palate cleanser. I've just finished.
What did you just finish? You finished Iki Island.
I haven't finished Iki Island. I will, but it's not gonna take
Post
long.
Iki
I'm just gonna So I've just finished Horizon Forbidden West, then Ghosts. Very different games, but still open world games. What's next? Am I web slinging?
Did you play Guardians of the Galaxy?
That was going to be my comment too.
Done.
You need a linear
I'll play.
story. You need almost borderline on rails linear story that is
Not
a
quite,
fun
but
story.
close enough too.
Okay, done. I'll play that next.
Do
I
you
don't know
have
if
it?
I'll.
'Cause I've got a copy that's sitting there gathering dust. So if you want to pick that
Yeah, I
up.
might. Yeah, please. That'd be great. All right. Cool. Well,
Okay,
Pete shall
I gotta
report
go.
back in a future episode.
I got to go to bed.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Good night, Dan.
Have a fantastic. No, Dan's still
Sweet
stuck with us for 60 seconds after we stop. So.
Well, no, he's not.
no, it's fuck y'all.
He's not.
Fuck
But
y'all.
as long as his camera's still, his computer's still on.
Thanks for listening.
Good night, everybody.
We choose to-
Yes, we will
we
talk
choose to
about
end the
Obi-Wan
story
next
now.
episode. I'm going to
Yeah.
respond to Ed and tell him to shut the fuck up. And if you spoil anything, I will cut you.
I'm ignoring his messages just in case.
Everyone
we love
have
you,
a
Ed.
Yeah, we love you, Ed, but shut up. We haven't seen it yet. Everyone
Yeah.
have a fantastic weekend. Play a new game. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Mm.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Good night and good luck.